You. Welcome to another Dungeons and Dagons in-person production. We're starting our brand new campaign of The Vampire the Masquerade, a storytelling game of personal horror, 5th edition, designed by White Wolf Games and published by Paradox Interactive. Without further ado, we will jump right into it. I'm joined by M1.
Hi.
M2.
Hello.
Tom.
Hello.
And Remy.
Hello.
Let us begin. Our story takes place in Chicago, the windy city of the Midwest, on the shores of Lake Michigan. It is August of 2006. The story starts as you all experience this mysterious and painful, yet exuberating, liberating experience. The embrace. There is no fear as your life is fading away. You feel an unexpected comfort in the arms of the being that is taking your life. You experience a surprising calm as it all disappears. Drop by drop, the being takes your fears, your worries, your dreams, your joy. Then your consciousness vanishes and all that's left is blackness. You open your eyes. There is a lingering feeling that something is missing, but something else immediately overrides it. It is an electric purr that stirs your senses awake. Coming back from death is slow. You feel sluggish as you become aware of the room you are in, the company you share. Above and around you are slow swinging hunks of meat, like the bodies of that deathly migration. Beside you are others, also escaping death's shore, coming to consciousness just like you. An urge fills your mind, more pressing, more acute, as you begin to sit up. You feel it for the first time, the hunger. And you know somehow, as you experience this terrible pain of hunger, that you are no longer human. I would like everybody to please fill in their hunger tracker by 2. You will be starting with 2 hunger. Now, in Vampire the Masquerade, when a vampire awakens for the night, he or she rouses the blood that animates them. And so, as you awaken, we will start by doing a Rouse Check. You do these whenever you use your blood to power your disciplines, or give you strength, or to just simply wake up in this case. How you do a Rouse Check is you roll a single d10, and if it is 6 or above, you pass. Your hunger remains the same. If you fail, you increase your hunger by 1, as rousing the blood has made you even more hungry.
Shit. Oof.
So that's pass 4. Okay, so M1 and Remy, please set your hunger to 3. Even as you all sit still in the cold, quiet room, and you start making out the shapes around you, you feel this hunger. It is different from any hunger you've ever felt. Like a person starving to death who suddenly smells food. You sense the blood around you, and you know that it will ease this terrible, hollow pain inside you. How will you deal with your first hunger? You smell blood and recognize it as exactly that. The aroma reaches out to you, sweet and tempting. Your eyes fall upon the meat hooks that decorate the room, searching for the choice meal you are craving. There are whole animal carcasses hanging from the hooks, pork, cattle, and your gaze locks onto a piece hung in the middle of the room. A brunette mop of hair dangles upside down, together with the stark realization of what your body craves. The corpse of a man wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt. You understand that there's more to this room, but right now you can only focus on this man hanging upside down in the semi-darkness, blood still dripping down his cold skin. M2 and Tom, first you were drowsy from waking, but now the blood smell has snapped you into focus. You feel your first hunger significantly. Maybe just a small sip from the dead body would ease this newfound desire. Maybe the animals could give you enough sustenance to carry on. You can resist it if you choose. Maybe it is the shame of defiling the dead, or how the others in the room, standing beside you, climbing to their feet, would see you, or the dread of drinking blood that holds you back. Maybe you just surrender to your hunger. Beggars can't be choosers. What would you like to do?
I crack my knuckles. Gentlemen? It seems we found ourselves in quite a predicament. Alexander Borger.
Roger Maxwell. Nice to meet you. Yes.
You too. You don't look so well.
You turn to the other two, but they don't respond to your words, Remy and M1. Your hunger is colouring all of your thoughts, tainting everything you see, hear and smell. You're beckoned by the fresh body offered to you. Its blood smells stale, but there's also a sweetness in it. You want to drink, but what will these others think of you? It doesn't matter. What are you becoming? You may have to think about that later. Right now, feeding is what you want to do the most. You two are going to roll for hunger frenzy. The way we do this is you look at your willpower. That is how many dice are in your pool. Please go ahead and roll them. Yep.
Do I sense their intention?
No, you've just awakened. You look at them and you see them. It looks as if fixated. You feel the same longing that they are, but you can't comprehend the intensity yet that they're feeling it. It just looks as if. Yep, so go ahead.
So I roll 6.
Yep, go ahead and roll, and you need a single success, which is a 6 or above. You're fine, Remy. And so is M1. You've passed.
You only need 1 6.
Yeah, you only need 1.
1 6 or above.
And so the two of you notice that there are others in the room, and they're talking, somehow managing to resist this urge enough to talk, to introduce themselves to each other. And so you exert all the willpower you can. You divert your gaze from the hanging corpse and turn to face the others. I would like you all to please introduce your characters and explain who they are, at least before they woke up in this nightmarish place. M1.
I'm Greg Maxwell. I was a
Hi, other Maxwell over here. We want to check the names before we start this shit.
Are we related?
God, I hope not.
There can be 2 Greg Maxwells, it's perfectly fine.
Oh,
Greg, Roger.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'm Greg Maximilian.
Greg Maximilian, that's fine.
And I'm a city councillor for the Chicago City Council. And I don't know how I woke up in this strange, cold, dank place.
Whatever happened, you must get out. M2, please introduce your character.
Not for the sake of, I did have my last name down as Maxwell, but I'm more than happy to give that a quick
He's
study.
Maximilian now,
Oh,
so...
you're doing Maximilian?
No,
Yeah.
Maximilian.
Okay, I was going to say if we took that. And Roger Maxwell, attorney of law, and I have no idea how the hell I got in here. I thought it was a debt collector. Clearly not so much. This is
Yes,
clearly...
a debt foisted upon you that you did not know yet how to pay. Tom, introduce your character, please.
My name is Alexander Borger. For generations, my family's served as butlers to the rich, wealthy, powerful. We're discreet. We get the job done. We handle small controversies, small scandals. We maintain the staff. We maintain the grounds. We maintain the horses. The powerful lose their trust in us, and that is our family motto. Though a recent scandal and several fraud and prison sentences has decimated the family I'm serving, and I'm in between households. Butler without a master, so to speak.
Remy, please introduce your character.
Barry Archer, big game hunter who came to Chicago because he got bored of hunting animals that didn't give a challenge anymore.
And the last thing you remember is learning the location of a great white wolf, tracking it down and it turning upon you. And then you woke up here. And so, you've introduced yourselves to each other. You look around, there's animal carcasses hanging on meat hooks. There's a human body dangling in front of you, and you're feeling this overwhelming hunger. You don't understand it, but you know that you thirst for blood. Do you give in?
No.
Do I have a knife?
Yes, you have a knife on you. You notice you reach down and you notice that your utility knife is still in your pocket under your coat where you keep it.
The meat hooks that impale the pigs, how hard would it be to free them from their chains?
You could attempt to do it. You seem to be in a very cold place. The air is, as you look around, even though your breath is not fogging in front of you, it feels exceedingly cold. And as you reach out and touch one of the carcasses, you feel ice on its surface. It is frozen. It will require significant strength to wrench the meat hook out. Would you like to try?
I will attempt so.
I would like you to please make a strength brawl check.
With blood dice?
Yeah, with hunger dice, you may rouse the blood because you will your characters instinctively know how to do these things, even if they don't know what they're called or how they work.
Well,
I will not try and attempt to rouse the blood for this, so I need one more blue on this. Wait,
Do you want to do it now?
there we go. That is 1 success and 1 1.
One success. You
Both
reach.
the success
Yep.
is on the blood die and the 1 is on the blood die.
Yep. Okay. You reach out, grab the carcass of a pig, and in the darkness fumble around. You wrap your hands around the meat hook and attempt to pull it out, but it won't budge. Your eyes begin to adjust to the darkness and poor lighting.
while
Yep.
he's doing that, I'm going to take the knife and stab into the neck for him.
Yep. So you step forward, grab the knife and stab into the human's neck. Stale blood, dark reddish brown, begins to slowly leak from the
Oh,
gash.
but it's fresh.
Fresh enough that it can still bleed. Would you like to...
That's...
And as he does this, as you all see the flowing blood, you smell it, your senses immediately awaken, you instinctually turn towards it, your eyes fixated upon this blood gleaming out of the gash in the man's neck.
Does it affect me in the same way?
No. For some, Alexander, notice the others all turn and swivel, but whatever they're smelling, whatever they're sensing, to you can't quite tell. You continue focusing on the task of learning where you are and how to get out. Do the three of you immediately rush for the blood and start slurping it?
Yep. I put my mouth around the wound.
Yep. What do you two do?
Do I, if he's incentivized to go for the blood, do I have to, because my hunger level's 3, do I have to?
You don't have to. You already rolled to resist frenzy before, but you're feeling the strong urge to go for it. You can resist.
Will I ever be compelled by
Not at hunger.
pressure?
Not at hunger. No. And not at hunger 3.
Okay, can I go examine to see if he's got any wallets or anything on him?
Yeah. So
Information pays well.
what about you, Roger?
I would prefer not to go for it at the moment. I'm still going, okay, I just woke up in a room full of random people and now this guy's stabbing people in the neck.
So you just raise your hand, cover your eyes, you don't have to look at the dripping blood, and under your closed eyelids you hear the footsteps of the other man crunching across the floor, and then you hear what could only be him slurping up the blood as it leaks out of the wound. And
Lovely, that is.
Remy, you clasp your mouth around the wound and you begin to suck in the blood, and despite how it drew you to it, as you swallow it, as it goes down your throat, you taste nothing. There is no sustenance. Perhaps the body has been dead too long. And so, after you finish slurping the blood, you withdraw from the body, look around, see the others staring at you, watching you, and you sigh in despair as the hunger is still ever present, still strong. All of you, your eyes begin to adjust to the darkness and the poor lighting. Shapes of animal carcasses decorate your surroundings. The stench in the room is difficult to take for most of you. Now that the blood has started to flow, the smell of decay fills the tiny area. You go to hold your breath to save yourself from the smell, and then you quickly realize that you can hold your breath with no consequence. For a moment, you all take in that. The fact that breathing, something you took for granted and was so natural for you all of your life, is now apparently something you can choose to do, or in this case, choose not to do, and in doing so, avoiding the very worst of the stench. The chains clank under the weight of the hanging meat, and you can see the still air clinging to the flesh. The visible fog partially manages to obscure your vision under the cold, hospital-like lighting, causing you to navigate the room carefully to avoid bumping into the adorned meat hooks.
Would I be able to activate the discipline?
Yes, which one?
Eyes of the Beast. Level 1 protein ability.
Yep. What will it allow you to do?
See in the dark.
Go ahead.
Because
Rouse the
my eyes
blood.
will glow green.
Yes.
I have failed, so I got a hunger 3.
Yep. You feel the blood inside you guiding you to tap into some latent power. Although your character does not yet understand what a discipline is, you instinctively know how to do it. You tap into it. Everyone else notices Alexander's eyes begin to glow a bright green in the dim lighting. And Alexander, as you walk with the others between the meat hooks, you see that there are streaks of dried blood on the floor and small piles of rotten meat scattered around grey tiles which you can't identify as human or animal. There are also several hospital-like blood bags scattered around the floor and stacked on a long metal table pushed against one wall. They smell of blood, but you can see that they're definitely empty. You notice that the walls are made of steel, partially covered in patches of frost. However, when you go up to touch them, your skin doesn't stick to the walls. Your body is no longer warm. There is one large metal door at the other end of the room, right in front of you, that you can see. And as you approach it to get a better look, you think you can hear movement on the other side.
Do I manage to free the meat hook before?
No. But you can try again now that you can see. The others also hear this strange shuffling of movement coming from the other side of the door.
I got one success and one failure, and one critical failure both.
Yep.
On the blood dice.
Both on the blood dice.
So 110, one
Yep.
blood dice. Both.
And so you have gotten a messy critical. And what this means is you will achieve what you want, but the beast within takes control. And so as the others are still fumbling around, trying to see what you're seeing, you turn around, walk to the nearest carcass, and then grit your teeth and let out an inhuman roar as you reach out and tear the carcass clean off the hook, ripping it clean in two. Everyone else just hears a sickening as you rip it off the hook. But the meat hook is now empty and you grasp it in your hands, the dried blood still tainting the edge.
I unbolted from the chain.
Yep. And the rest of you see this.
We're just all just... Okay, so does anyone else... I don't suppose anyone has any idea of what the hell's going on in here?
I take it further push us in here a hostile force. So I've armed myself.
Oh,
I suggest you do the same.
I mean, I meant more about the situation at hand. Whatever the hell that was just now. Impressive.
Well,
horrified, but impressive.
It seems that what you must do is try to find a way out of this horrifying situation. What would you like to do, trapped in this freezing cold room?
I go examine the door.
Yep. As you move up to the door, I would like you to please make a wits awareness check.
Wits. So that's 4 dice. 3 blood. 2 successes.
You walk up to the door, you press your body against it and press your ear against the metal slab. On the other side, you hear murmurs, voices. It takes a few seconds, but you hone your senses and you're able to hear what they're saying. So, all I have to do is watch this freezer. Yes, you can feel free to head out into the main hall if you like and do a patrol. Look, it's an easy job. All we are asking you to do is make sure what's in there doesn't get out. We come back in the morning and it's still shut and you get $200. What do you say? The other voice says, well, look, I don't know. You haven't told me what's in there and I got the feeling it's something that is not exactly safe, if you know what I mean. The other voice lowers slightly and says, look, jailbird, it's not like you can get any other job. Just sit tight. We'll be back in the morning. You'll be okay.
How close do they sound to the door?
They sound as if they're just on the other side.
Okay, which direction does the door open?
From what you can tell, it opens outwards.
Okay, because they're so close.
However,
yeah.
You do notice that the inside handle of the door has been deliberately removed. There's just a little hole where it used to be.
Of course, naturally.
I'm going to attempt to rouse the blood and basically just try and kick the door open split cell style.
Yep. All right. Please make a strength brawl check.
I'm gonna browse the blood first. Like.
Yep. It will require 4 successes to just break it down.
I'm at hunger 4. I am hungry,
Yeah, you are hungry.
but I do get 2 extra dice because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 4 dice.
I suppose some of us could start looking for another way out in case this doesn't work. Or
Yep.
Wait for him to see his bow, dear God.
That is indeed 4 successes.
Is it a normal success or a messy critical?
All normals.
All normals. Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. Meanwhile, M1, Greg, you wanted to search the body, if I recall. Please make a wits investigate action.
So wit.
So
one
I'm...
is a
Yep.
3.
So you take 3 dice, plus you add your investigation skill if you have it.
I have a 1.
So 4 dice altogether, and you add your hunger dice to it. So 3 of those dice will be hunger dice, so they'll be red dice, which Tom has.
Yes.
And 1 of them will be a normal dice, which is a blue dice. So you roll them, a success is a 6 or above.
My flow is moving more than my hands. Oh,
That is a success.
that's oh wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's not a
pretty
messy critical, it's just a normal success. So you start feeling the body and you reach into one of the pockets and you do feel the bulge of a wallet. And the ice in this room has sort of affixed the wallet inside the damp jeans. It takes a bit of effort to get it out, but you pull it out, you have it in your hand, you open it up and rifle through it, feeling with your fingers as you can't quite see in the dim light the contents of the wallet. You determine that there's an unknown amount of money inside because you can feel the paper bills and also some type of ID, possibly a driver's license.
Can I just pop it in my wallet?
Yeah, just take it, put it in your own wallet.
Okay.
Would either of you two like to do anything?
Take its
Yeah.
pants.
We're in a cool room,
See if actually he kicks the door down. Before
Yep, so you're just
otherwise
gonna-
I was
so you're just standing
I
there?
was gonna say I'd look for another way out, but
Yeah.
The butler.
Yeah, if the fan cooling unit is on.
Please make a wits awareness check.
I don't know.
That's
Actually,
four.
talk to people, but
5, 6 dice.
Yep.
3 of those are hungry.
3 of those are hunger dice, yes.
Where you on red?
No, 3
Roll
rolls.
with it.
Thank you.
Okay, so
And
that
1,
is
2,
yeah,
3,
4 successes.
But there's 2 1s.
Those are failures, and each one cancels out a success. But so that leaves you with
So
2
still-
successes, which is enough to pass. You close your eyes and try to listen. Try to still the strange hunger that's roiling inside you, calling out for you to feed. And then you hear it, the soft hum of the motor of this freezer unit, still operating, apparently at full capacity.
Can I attempt to break it somehow?
Yep, you wish to follow the noise and head over to it.
Yes.
So you turn around and follow the noise that leads you to the very back of the freezer, and then you feel with your hands the large square metal box jutting out of the wall. How would you like to break it?
Is there any pipes? Are there any pipes?
From what you can tell, it appears to be a fairly standard air conditioning unit. It's just a square with a metal mesh on it hanging out of the wall. If there are any pipes or any air movement system, it would be on the back, on the other side of the metal wall. The only part of the unit you can access from here is the box.
I only have a pocket knife on me.
Break the fan if you wanted to.
Yeah,
Or
but
just
I-
jamming other dead bodies. constantly.
You'd have
I'd
to
need
get...
to get into the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to. Is there? Could I quickly search to see if there's any like bars or empty?
Yep,
hooks?
please make an investigate, and let's say an investigate. Let me just take a quick look at your attributes. Make an investigate resolve check, please.
Okay, so I need 3 reds, because that's my hunger. And so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need another 3 blues.
Yep. Wait, blues, grab them. Go ahead. Ooh.
Pass.
4 successes.
Critical.
Yeah, that's a critical pass. That counts as 2
No,
successes.
no. Two tens count as 4.
Oh yeah, yep.
So,
So
you
yeah.
need you need a second 10 for it to be critical.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Alright,
Okay.
so actually no, you don't. Look in the rule book. A single 10 counts as a critical, counts as 2 successes.
I thought
Okay.
Nope, it's not 2.
okay, I
Yeah.
was confused.
So you press up against the mesh and try to squint with your eyes, try to adjust to the dim light.
I'm gonna have to get it on.
That's alright, alright. You call upon your senses to turn the tiny amount of light into something you can see by, and as you peer at the mesh, you see something green and blinking. You lean in, peering through the mesh, and you determine that there is a small video camera placed on the other side of the mesh. Based on the blinking green light, it is currently recording you.
Can I take my knife and stab the lens?
Yes. Please make a strength melee check.
Okay, so that's 3 dice. Is that all red? Because my hunger's
Yep.
3?
So it's all red.
Okay. Oh, well, that's a critical 10. That's 1 pass.
One pass. You reach out with your knife and you try to stab it into the mesh. You dislodge the camera, but you don't seem to destroy it. Rather, now it's just pointed on an angle facing diagonally, recording the tiled wall.
You right over there, buddy?
The camera recording us.
Oh, good. Something else to worry
Oh,
about.
you're right, Tom. Okay. Meanwhile, you hear a great metallic crash as Alexander roars and runs at the freezer door with his shoulder in front of him. Thump! There's a big dent in the door as with superhuman strength he pushes against it. You hear a loud click as the hinge of the door snaps and it creaks open.
Huh. Well. My guy's just been standing here the whole time watching. I've watched one guy go through a wall, another guy stab a camera, and this guy's just literally run through a steel door. It's like, I haven't got the goddamn idea what's going on, but straighten suit out, figure it out as we go.
You looking for him, one?
I'm sort of sneaking my way around without interrupting
Yep.
the recording.
Do when I go into the next room, have I knocked either of them over by hitting the door like that?
As you push the door open and hear it open, you hear CM1. You hear someone shout, "Shit!" And then you hear footsteps rampant and the sound of a door being slammed. You then hear...
For the vocal recording, yeah.
Yep, the door then stops before it clicks again and snaps wide open. Do you all pile out? As the bright white light floods in, momentarily blinding you. You can't quite see what's outside yet.
Well, I'm still at the back of the fridge, so...
Yeah, but you do hear the noise.
Yeah, so I'll start making my way.
Yep.
Alright, I will.
Yep. Yeah, he just... Alexander
well,
just gestures.
Extending
You
out.
Alright, we'll poke head to at least see what's going on out here before we start walking straight out.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
imagine a butler gesturing
Yeah.
at someone
After
through.
you, sir.
So as Roger steps forwards into the open doorway and peers outside, He finds himself in a kitchen that is bright, reasonably clean, and seems to feature the type of equipment you'd expect in a high-end restaurant. And so you think that's where you are. The room appears to be empty. There are two doors. There are several doors leading out, but no one in the room itself. The coast appears to be clear.
Clearly whoever was out here has obviously run off to, I guess, alert everyone else? No.
Do you all come out?
Is there like any just knives or anything in the kitchen?
You look around. So you're going to come out of the freezer?
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
mine as well, since...
I'll come out last.
Make a resolve investigate check, please.
I'll be right back.
Resolve. That's just straight resolve for me, so that's all bad dice.
At some point I'm going to get the whole for something.
2 successes, no criticals.
2 successes. You look around, and the kitchen is stocked with cookery, pots, pans, cutlery, but it seems that all sharp implements have been removed. You pull open some drawers, and forks and knives have been taken away. There is an empty stone knife block right next to the stove. The 5 slots all empty.
Oh well, I'll just have to keep my meat hook for the moment then.
As your eyes look for an exit, you find 2. There's a set of doors, double plastic doors to your right that no doubt lead out to the main room of the restaurant, and to your left, at the back of the kitchen, a side door made of metal with a glowing green emergency exit sign above it, subtly humming.
Is there any way to tell which door was used most recently to see which way the other guy might have gone?
Yes, I would like you... let me just check the skills.
Exactly want to follow after this guy if he's going to go...
Yeah, if he's going to go alert someone, that's fair enough. I'm just getting a character sheet up so I can actually see the skills. I would like you to please roll a wits, would be, I guess, awareness check.
Okay, so let's check it. 4. 4 normal dice and then 2 hunger. I'm still trying to work it out.
Yeah, so basically whatever your hunger is, those replace dice in your dice pool.
Oh, okay, so
yeah.
basically I have 4 and I need
Yeah, 2 hunger dice, 2 normal.
Okay.
Bless you, Remy.
Okay, so I have 3 passes, 2 of those.
You have a messy critical, my friend.
You do.
Cool.
5 successes total.
You look around. You want to know. Yeah, you got a messy critical.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, you got a messy critical.
Okay, this will be fun.
So you look around. You're looking from left to right. You want to know where this person went. And you sniff the air. And you sniff something. And you instinctively know that it is fear. You breathe it in, and then you turn immediately to the right, looking at the double doors that lead out into the main part of the restaurant. And you notice an almost imperceptible movement, the door still shaking, having just shut, something that only you notice. He is he is gone this way, and the beast within you suddenly takes over. Without waiting for the others to act, you run ahead, grab the door, and force your way through it.
Oh, I was going to say whichever door he went through, I was going to go in the opposite.
Yeah, but your beast took over because of messy critical. You want this guy because you want to feed on him.
I will follow.
Yeah.
Well,
And
cool.
so...
I would like to try and activate my silence ability to follow.
Yep, so you're going to activate your obfuscate.
Yes.
I'd like you to... Does that require a rouse check?
I have. It says plus 3.
Yes, that's fine. You can just activate it at any time.
Okay. So, yeah. So I'm now
Yep.
silent.
Yep, silence
I don't
of
make-
death.
I don't
So,
make any sound
Yep.
whatsoever. Unless I throw
yeah.
something.
So you are still visible.
Yeah, I'm still visible.
You are still visible, but your footsteps make no
And
sound.
if I bump into something, it
You
doesn't make a sound.
instinctively know how to do this, and as you run, following behind the other two, you notice that your heavy hiking boots make no sound on the polished tiles. As you watch Roger burst through the door, a guard seems to be in the restaurant outside. He has a nervous look on his face and he's immediately jumpy, possibly alerted by the noise you guys made exiting the freezer. Armed with a flashlight and a handgun, he's wearing an ordinary uniform which seems to fit him quite badly. The look on his face suggests that he would probably like to be anywhere but here. And then he hears the sound of the restaurant doors opening and he whirls, and Roger, he shines his flashlight in your face.
Okay, do I have any control of my senses at this point now?
You do, yep. You just wanted to go after him. As he sees you, as he raises his flashlight and sees you there, his eyes go wide as if he's noticing that there's something not quite right about you. You see his hand lowering to reach for the handgun in his holster.
Very quickly put a hand out and go, that's not going to be necessary. I just want to talk. Honest and true.
Okay, please make a charisma persuasion check, please.
While he's doing that and got the attention of
Yep.
the guy,
7.
are we in like the main room where there's tables and chairs
two.
everywhere?
Yep,
So
but
I'll need 2 more.
well, you're stepping through the door into that main area. Yes.
I would like to try and duck down while he's talking.
Yep.
And stealth around the side.
Yep, so you duck down as Alexander follows behind Roger, and Alexander and Remy, you both notice that as you step into the main part of the restaurant, you notice that it's completely empty. The lights are out, that there are tables and chairs, but there are white cloths covering them, and the chairs are all stacked in a big pile near the boarded up glass doors that lead to the street outside. I'd like you to please make a dexterity stealth check, and you may add 1 dice from your obfuscate to the dice pool.
Well, I'll let him roll first because
Yep.
I'm going to need more dice.
Yep, that's fair.
Yeah, because I'm using a fair whack because this is one of my better stats.
Same.
That's what I say, except, okay, so that one's yes, that one's yes.
Nope, that one's a no.
That one's a big
No,
old
no, 5's no.
Oh, 5's no.
Yeah, 6
So
or
2
above.
successes.
No successes.
No, two.
Two successes?
One
Yep.
of them's,
Yeah, one of them's a crit, but you need 2 10s.
Okay,
I
okay.
don't need another
So
dice. so
does
it's
it
17.
count as a success or as a...
It just counts as a success. It's just a normal success.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, we'll let Remy roll.
That's a critical.
Yeah, that's a critical.
On a hunger.
Yep, but it's not a
Otherwise,
messy critical.
It's 1, 2, 3.
So you don't know you got 4 there.
4.
Is that red one counted?
Oh yeah,
Alright,
sorry.
4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, so he's going to roll his dice pool to see if he notices you sneaking off. And he seems to be focused on Roger and Alexander, pointing his flashlight in their face. He doesn't see you duck down and start to creep behind the tables around the side of the restaurant foyer.
Sorry, I was just rolling the extra one that you gave me. 'cause I
Yep.
rolled it first.
He doesn't raise his gun to you, Roger. Instead, his hand just sits on the holster and doesn't remove it. He just looks at you, and his eyes still wide. He says, look, you're supposed to stay in the freezer. I'm paid to keep you in the freezer. Let's just... Please, I don't want any trouble. Just go back in the freezer, and I'll shut the door, and I won't tell them that you got out.
I step forward and bloody meat hook in hand, and I smile at him and go, we're no longer in the freezer, are we? So let's say your job is moot, because otherwise you are an obstacle, and obstacles have a way of being overcome by the likes of me.
Please make a manipulation intimidation check.
And can I use my focus in veiled threats?
Yes, you can.
While he's doing that, could I possibly get that wallet that the
Yeah.
friend might have had?
Well, you will be able to get it momentarily.
Yes, I know.
But-
Let him scare the crap
Yeah.
out of him
Do you want me to
first.
tell you what I was trying to do with that stuff?
What were you trying to
I
do?
was trying to stuff around the side
Yeah.
and get
get-
up behind him.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
But, yeah,
So
I know
you're
it's
sneaking
gonna
up.
take time.
You're sneaking up behind him. He's not noticing. Yeah.
That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
He looks at you and he raises both hands, taking his hand off the holster, and he takes a step back. And he says, "Okay. Okay." And then murmurs quietly, "What have I gotten into? What have you gotten yourself into, Parker?"
What you're going to do is you're going to undo your belt, remove your gun, put it on the floor, and then leave and never come back. Forget your payment. Who the fuck cares?
You're at Hunger 4, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay, I'll
I'm
get to that in a
hungry,
moment.
I'm short, I'm angry.
I will get to that in a moment.
Well, I was going to ask some questions, but clearly we're doing something else
Yeah.
here. Jesus Christ.
He takes another step back, not noticing Remy's character slowly approaching behind him. A couple more steps he might bump into him, but he stops where he is, and then he slowly undoes his belt, removes the gun and the holster and the nightstick on the left, detaches them and tosses them on the floor in front of him. And then Alexander, as it occurs to you that he is now unarmed and helpless, you realize you need to feed. Please roll for Hunger Frenzy.
Well, shit.
Willpower is it?
Willpower, yes.
Well, shit.
And you're at Hunger Force. It's going to be difficulty 3 to resist.
That's a little ones. That's a little ones.
Yeah, that's 2. One
That's
success
actually,
short.
I believe, a bestial failure. because-
Yes, it is a bestial
Well, shit
failure.
smacks. Which is what this
You
guy's
take a
doing.
I was
deep...
gonna give him a quick death, but
Yeah, you take a deep breath, and as you see Remy's character slowly raising his knife, creeping towards the man, you open your mouth, baring your fangs. Please describe what you do as you tear him to shreds before the other two.
What you see is my arms get physically longer. My fingers extend into thin, needle-like razors. My jaw distends. My fangs become like talons. My legs become long and thin, and I run at him, and I just tear him apart, and basically bathe myself in the blood head to toe, getting some of it in my mouth.
The blood showers all over you. Open your mouth, sucking it in. The guard does not even have time to scream. You move like a blur, and then all anyone can hear is the crack of bones and the cutting of flesh. The two of you are showered in blood, being in the vicinity.
being so close, I'm gonna immediately jump down and try and grab a big chunk.
Yeah, jump down, grab a big chunk. He's frenzying, and he's like a dog that is being fed right now. So you are going to have to make a dexterity.
Now, that to humanity...
Please add 1 stain and reset your hunger to 0 as you gorge yourself on his blood.
Does it satisfy me at all?
For now, it will reset your hunger to 0. The act of feeding itself seems to have satisfied you, but there's something missing. As you lick your lips and swallow the blood, it tastes like nothing.
My guy on the other hand is basically just falling over
Yeah.
and trying really hard not to shit himself.
Meanwhile,
'cause what the
I would
fuck?
like Remy to please make a dex stealth check to snatch a piece of the guy from the frenzying Alexander.
God, I put my
You
points
see,
in
just
this.
I've returned facing into my normal shape, and I'm just
What the fuck?
Does me being silent do anything?
Well, he's staring right at
Yeah,
you,
fair
so
enough, fair
it
enough.
doesn't do
More
anything.
questions. Fantastic.
1, 2, 3 passes, 1 failure.
Yep, that's fine.
1 critical
Failure.
red dice.
Okay, I would like you in Frenzy to please roll a wits awareness check.
Oh, what's the word?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
2 successes.
Okay,
I had 3.
3 and a 1, so 2 successes each, so you're tied. You step forwards and reach out your hand to grab a piece of the poor guard, and as you grab it and begin to pull it towards you, Alexander just looks at you and goes "Argh!" and slashes out with one of his claws and deals 1 point of aggravated damage to you. Please put a cross
no,
in.
I only deal.
You only deal superficial?
Superficial,
Okay,
of
please
course.
put a line through one of your
One line?
boxes. Yep.
3 health?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because its vicissitude is more versatile, it doesn't get the ag. of
Yeah,
rotation.
that's correct.
Oh.
And so you step back. Clearly you need to. Clearly, it's not wise to go near this animal. And
I've drawn
over.
blood from him, haven't I?
Yeah, you've drawn blood from him, but yeah, actually, you have drawn blood from him. And so you leap forwards. Yeah, you then Alexander leaps forwards and he pins you to the ground, places his mouth on the scratch he made on your arm, and for the next 20 seconds just slurps the blood away. I want you to increase your hunger by 1.
Oh. I'm just casually just backing the fuck away from all this, because what the hell?
And Alexander, you taste the blood and it's different. There's a taste, it is sweet. It is ecstasy as it trickles down your throat.
That's right.
Oh no! Run boy, he's gonna
Yep.
that. Run boy, he's gonna taste for me now.
And after a few seconds have passed, you feel your senses returning. You pull yourself off this poor man and you just lie there on the floor, breathing out in contentment.
I'm just shit scared, and the fact that the gun is in between, is on the other side of this guy. I'd probably be grabbing that going, nope.
Because Remy is a 16th generation thin blood, his vitae does not blood bond. And so,
I'm unbondable.
yes, well, you're unbondable anyway, but if you weren't, it still wouldn't do anything.
I don't know what the fuck's going on.
As Alexander lies there on the floor, just breathing in contentment, as Roger freaks out.
And also as it starts like slowly shriveling back, like
Yeah.
back together.
Okay. Okay, butler guy. What?
As Remy clutches the gash on his hand, wincing in pain, you realise that the blood can fix this. If you'd like to risk rousing the blood, you can heal. That's 1 point of superficial damage.
This is. Can you explain what the hell just happened?
It's just a scratch, and I'm probably feeling too hungry to think about it.
That's
at the
fair
moment.
enough.
Just a scratch.
You all hear a noise behind you. You turn around. Outlined against the light of the kitchen, you see the silhouette of a very tall man with a powerful build. As he steps out into the restaurant, you can see that he wears a well-cut modern suit and that he stands calm and confident. But he also looks as surprised to see you as you are to see him. Noticing you, he immediately smiles, allowing you to see his fangs. He is as you are.
Oh, fantastic. You're fine.
Seems to be my lucky night, he says, as his gaze sweeps across the room, taking in the sight of the three of you, looking like you've been through an experience, and what's left of the poor guard dismembered on the floor, the carpet stained in his blood. He winces.
I'm still eyeing the...
Yeah, the
Massacred corpse.
massacred corpse.
But I'm also... My eyes are going from the corpse to him.
Yeah,
The corpse
to-
to him, like...
And then there's me who's
Do
just
I
watching
try-
everyone
Yeah,
at
what-
once going,
What the fuck?
No amount of legal school taught me anything about this.
He audibly winces as he sees this, and then he sighs, and he says, my name's Bobby Weatherbottom. Well, I guess I can say I'm happy to meet you, Before waiting for a response, he says, "We should leave. My driver will arrive in a few minutes. Since the Second Inquisition could get here at any moment now, especially as you've just slaughtered one of their men, I need to know what you know." He looks at each of you in turn. He says, "What do you remember?" As he asks this question, your mind tries to unlock your memories. Memories between your normal life and this rude awakening you just had before this nightmare of death and blood swept everything away. What do you tell him?
I was hunting a wolf, went black, woke up, now I'm fucking hungry, and this guy cuts me.
He just nods. What do the rest of you say?
I thought I got picked up by a debt collector. Turns out now I'm sitting in a meat locker with whatever the fuck this guy is, and yeah, no, this is what we're dealing with right now.
Greg raises his hands, takes a step back, and says, "I was meeting with the mayor. I remember driving to the lookout, and then woke up in that freezer." What do you say, Alexander? Anything?
I just look him in the eye. So, in my business, discretion's.
He nods and he winks and he raises his hand and he says, "Good attitude." He then lowers his voice. He clearly doesn't want to be overheard. "I heard some rumors about their Second Inquisition safe house on my turf. Didn't realize it was one of their population control facilities. Listen, the Second Inquisition is bad news for all of us. If you've ever heard of the original Inquisition, picture that, but with the support of modern governments and using state-of-the-art technology and weaponry to hunt us down. They're out to destroy every last one of us. But they also want to study us, which is why they don't always kill us immediately. I assume that's why they left you here, to collect you later, to study you before they destroy you. So they're probably either nearby or on their way to check on you right now. If you'd rather stay out of their hands, follow me." He guides you through the... Yep.
I suppose you have a change of suit to you, and I gesture to the fact that I'm covered head to toe with viscera.
He looks it up and down, and he says, "Frenzied already." He says, "I'll see what I can do." He motions for all of you to follow.
I would love to know this guy's tailor, but we'll work with what we have for now.
He guides you through the kitchen to the back door of the restaurant and ushers you out through this door to an alleyway behind the building. Once you're all out, you feel the cold air of Chicago by night, bearing down upon you, the wind subtly blowing, and even though you can no longer breathe, you take in the fresh air. It seems as much of a relief to you as it would be to a human coming out of that experience. Bobby reaches into his pocket, pulls out a cell phone, briefly looks at it, puts it back, and then leans against the brick wall of the next building. Peers over his shoulder towards the outside of the alleyway. You can see a street beyond him. Occasionally a car drives past, but for the most part, at this time of the night, it's empty. He turns to you, he says, "We've got a few minutes to wait. I don't suppose you've had much of an education, so go ahead. Ask what you wish, and I'll lay it on you."
What am I?
That is an excellent question. First, before we get into the question, I will apologize for losing my composure back there. No, it's usually in the courtroom, not in meat freezers, and just sort of stares at Alexander, goes, whatever that was. So, try this again. Yes, I second that question.
He nods. He says, "The Inquisition could be here any moment, but I want you to get some facts about what happened to you. You have been embraced. That's what we call it when you become one of us. Don't know when it happened or why, but after your embrace, you must have been captured by the Second Inquisition, and assuming they were keeping you alive to interrogate you later, or as some kind of sick experiment."
Oh, that's just lovely.
They were filming us.
He raises his eyebrows. He says, were they now?
Yeah, there was
Mention
a
camera.
camera in the cooling system.
Perhaps we should destroy the evidence before.
He says, I'd rather get out of here before they arrive, but I will make a note of it and have someone attend to it later. We definitely don't want that lying around. Potential masquerade breach right there.
Masquerade breach?
He nods. He says, right. Listen, we don't allow mortals to know of our existence. You can imagine what would happen if we did, right?
Mortals, you use that word. Are you supposing immortality upon yourself?
He says, well, I suppose, yes. You're no longer mortal. You are... Well, I suppose your kind knows us as vampires. We don't use the V word. We call ourselves kindred, or licks, if you want to be less formal. Assuming that the sunlight doesn't burn you, or you don't get decapitated, then, yeah, you play your cards right, and you'll live until the end of time.
Welcome night. Court cases from now on. Fantastic. If I can go back to that.
He says, you can imagine what would happen if the mortals knew about us, right? We call the massive cover-up the Masquerade. If people talk about us, the Inquisitors show up. Survival depends on keeping this secret, and I expect each of you to honor it now that you're one of us. He pauses and lowers his voice even more. If you don't keep the secret, we will know, and I will be very unhappy about it. Do you get my meaning?
So, how does one get embraced exactly?
He says, well, you've probably heard that you get bitten by a vampire, you become one, right? Well, that's fiction, I'm afraid. To embrace a mortal, a kindred drains them of their vitae, their blood, and then feeds the corpse a drop of their own. The change then happens. Death. After a period of time, the new kindred, the child, awakens. I presume this is what happened to you. If the last thing you remember is waking up in that freezer, I would say it mustn't have happened too long ago. A couple of nights ago at the very most. He looks at you, waiting for your next question.
What now?
He says, well, now, I'm not quite sure. I think it depends on what you want to do and the danger that you may or may not pose. The sound of an approaching vehicle cuts the conversation short. Bobby's driver has arrived, and Bobby smiles in relief. A black SUV appears at the end of the alley, tires screeching against the road as the driver brakes hard. She looks tense. "We have to move, sir," she cautions her employer nervously. "They're onto me." Bobby motions for you to follow. He says, "Quick, let's get going." He rushes ahead, pulls open the back door of the
How nice
SUV.
are the seats that I'm about to just spoil with?
Just fucking ruined.
You follow him, and he pulls open the back door of the car, and the car is a reasonably modern model. The seats inside are quite clean. It's well maintained.
Well, it was well maintained.
Until you get in.
Regulating agent now to clean this shit out.
Yeah. I brush a piece of intestine off my shoulder and then just get into the car.
Just run a hand through what probably is Jill, and like slightly slip back here and just go, no idea.
Bobby urges you into the car, and he's the last one in. He sits down right next to Alexander, a look of dismay on his face as he sees that you've despoiled his seat, and you see him consciously shift about half an inch away. Once he's in, he pulls the door shut, and the driver pulls away in a hurry, the tires screeching as the car pulls into the street. As it picks up speed, Bobby turns to you all. He says, "Listen, Couple more things. Don't let vampire fiction fool you. Most of it's just that. Stakes won't kill you, but they can paralyze you. Old superstitions like mirrors, entering a home uninvited, garlic, and crossing running water, none of those are true.
Yeah.
I've heard of some mortals who can somehow turn them into weapons against us. Never seen it myself, though. Your new blood allows you to do an endless number of things you couldn't do as a mortal. You are an apex nocturnal predator now. You can run faster, punch harder, and have access to powers that humans can only begin to dream of. But there are new dangers waiting for you now. The worst one is the sun. Daytime is a death sentence, followed closely by fire. Always remember this. Anything else you'd like to... As the black SUV starts to make its way along North Highland Avenue, driving through the west side of Chicago, the run-down, slummy part of the city, you look over your shoulder and you see a white van behind your car, clearly following, but it's impeded by the heavy traffic and the driver's superior skills. She keeps wrenching the wheel from left to right, deftly weaving in and out of traffic, screeching off the main road, driving through alleyways and doing her best to lose them. We gotta leave them behind, Bobby states, but first, I want to divert them away from you.
How? Could I use 2 ranks in Protein Institute to make my finger very, very, very long?
How long?
Like, say, if I use the entire mass of my arm and fed it into my finger and get it, say, to reach from here to the wall over there.
Yeah, you could. What are you trying to touch with it?
I'm trying to make the end of it a little blade and pop their tyre.
As you go to do this, please rouse the blood.
Yes. At under 1.
As you raise your finger and begin to elongate it and start to shuffle towards the window, raising your finger, Bobby looks at you, a look of anger on his face. He narrows his eyes and lowers his voice, and he says, "No!" He says, "Are you crazy? What do you think is going to happen when all of the other drivers on this road see a giant fucking finger poking out of the window of this car?" Even his driver chances a glance over her shoulder, glaring at you from the driver's seat.
So
Well, then get us down an alleyway.
Look, I'm gonna drop you off along the way, and then I'm gonna make them follow us while you get out of here, okay? Sit tight, he says.
Okay, I have a quick question. Just points to Alexander going, are we all like that, or what the hell?
He sighs, obviously quite impatient at this point after what he's seen.
Well, I'm not
He
the one
takes a
trying-
look at you. He says, that's a walking masquerade breach waiting to happen. I don't know who can do shit like that. I can't do it. I'm willing to bet you can't do it. And I'm willing to bet he can't. He says, if I had to hazard a guess, I'd say Ventru, looking at you. I can see that hunger in your eyes, he says, looking at Roger. You'll know what it means soon enough, and I know it well. He smiles. You're one of my clan.
Oh, well, it's nice to meet, I suppose.
He looks over to his right and he says, Him, I'm not sure. He still has colour in his skin. It looks like he's still breathing.
Oh yeah, I should tell you that I took lifelike.
Yeah. It looks like he's still breathing. He says, I hope he's not of thin blood, but... well, if he is, he'll know what that means soon enough. He turns to Alexander. He says, Him? I've got no idea. But I have a feeling others will know, and when they do, there's going to be trouble.
Huh.
Well, I'm sure it's just another fun line of questions for later then.
He sighs, and as the driver continues weaving through traffic and then makes a hard right, turning the car into a narrow alleyway as the white van is trapped behind a red light behind you. Yes, Alexander?
I was going to say, well, if I'm not going to use the Rouse Check for that, I'm just going to use it to experiment with my hand. You see me contorting my hand in strange ways, fusing certain bones and fingers.
You know what?
Experimenting with the extent of what I can do.
Yeah, just watching that guy. You know what? Probably good I can't do that. That is
Yeah.
actually quite fucked to watch.
But Remy's probably like seeing it and thinking of the implications. If he can do that, how much of a better hunter he'll be.
I'm just going, yeah, no, that would...
I'm
raise so
still
many
trying to
questions.
figure out how I made myself silent.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah, you just
I'm just
silently
going,
studying
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, I'm just doing a whole, I don't even know what the hell I
like
could do yet,
tapping
so-
your foot on the bottom of the on the floor of the car and it's not making any
I'm
sound.
just-
And
Yeah, I'm just doing that whole, I don't even know what the hell I can do. I'm just praying to God it's nothing like that one. but
Bobby
we'll cross that bridge
sighs. Bobby sighs and then pulls himself, edging away once again from Alexander, brushing the front of his suit. And he says, I think I know of a good spot where I can drop you off. It's within my territory and you'll have the opportunity to grab a bite there. He chuckles at this for some reason. For a while, he stays silent, only breaking through the silence to give directions to the driver. If you four had sires, they would be your lifeline tonight, but you'll have to make do with me and my support system. He chuckles as he adds the last part. Get somewhere safe, make sure you're fed, and avoid the sunrise. He punctuates the last three words with a hand gesture. I'll be at the Red Star tomorrow. I hope you can make it. He hands over a disposable cell phone. This phone is old. It's a little safer than a modern phone. It's a burner phone. The Inquisition shouldn't pick up any of your calls, he says as he hands it to Roger. Hit the redial button to reach an ally of mine if you get into serious trouble. She'll help if you mention my name. Do not use it to call your family or friends. You have to assume that the Second Inquisition has already tapped their communications. Furthermore, I'd say a couple hours from now, your mortal friends and family will be told that you've gone missing or were found dead. Don't visit any of your usual hangouts for the same reason.
Well, is that correct?
As the driver stops the car, he doesn't say goodbye, but instead looks back and gestures for you to hide as you leave the car. I would like for you all to make Dex stealth checks, please.
That's not good.
Is it against Kindred?
It's not against Kindred.
No.
It's just against the white van, to see if they see you getting out of the car and dispersing.
No successes for me. And I can only willpower.
If you don't have the skill, you just roll your attributes, so Dex.
So it's-
You
yeah,
can
so
do
it's
something...
only roll
Yeah,
two
you
blood
can do
dice.
something called a blood surge, which means you rouse the blood, and then you
actually,
add...
I may do that, yeah.
Yeah, and then you add one extra dice to your...
I'm gonna reroll that. 5 foot.
So, yep, so your hunger doesn't go up, so you now get an extra dice to the dice pool,
Okay.
because you've surged your blood to increase your dexterity.
I'm gonna wash this dice off.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
actually
so-
roll that fell out of my hand.
4 red.
So I have 2 hunger and 2 dex. So I'm rolling.
Yep, so you're just
2
rolling
red.
2 hunger dice, that's it.
So you said
Well,
right,
you can
Dex-
just roll any 2 dice, because we know they're hunger dice.
You said Dex stealth?
Yep, dex stealth.
Is that marked appropriate?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's 1 success.
Yeah, 1 success. That's fine.
Yeah, my guys are used to
I'm guessing this is by sight, not sound.
Yeah, so your
Yep.
silence won't... So you don't get an extra...
1, 2, 3, 4.
Ooh, nice. How did you go, Tom? Did you pass?
Oh, no, sorry, I was just washing this dice off.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, that's like the best possible combination you could have asked him to do.
Yeah,
Well,
because
apart from Dex awareness, but I don't think that's going to help.
Still no successes.
still no successes, but 2 passes, it's a group success.
Oh, thank God.
You are left, and you only passed because you did a blood surge, so you were left standing when Marcus dropped you off. It was a close call, but you managed to hide before the Inquisitors in the van spot you. As Marcus's car, as Bobby's car pulls away and merges into the traffic and drives off, the white van screams past you, following them. Once they turn a corner and are out of your sight, everything starts to sink in. What you are, what you just learned. How does it make you feel?
I'm trying to contemplate what the hell I'm doing.
If you want to put some extra in
In the fridge. I'm trying to contemplate what the hell I'm going to do with my career now, because if I can't go back to any of that, I'm kind of just completely screwed.
That said, you do know that there are plenty of law firms in the city that
is true.
you could get a job at. And furthermore, he said to stay away from your mortal friends and family, but casual contacts are probably fine. The Second Inquisition probably wouldn't have thought to keep tabs on them.
I'm standing or crouching here in the alleyway, considering the implications of being able to move silently.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
and-
that'd be a fucking boon.
Yeah, as a
And,
big game hunter.
Just wondering what else, and also wondering what he meant by thin blood and
Yeah, what
why
that
it sounded
means.
like that was a bad thing.
Yeah, the way he said it, thin blood with such contempt. Once you're sure the white van is gone, you make your way cautiously out of the alleyway and realize the place where Bobby has dropped you off. This aging behemoth of a building must have once been an Art Deco beauty, maybe back in the 1930s. A luxury boarding house for starlets and ingenues. Time has left the Cicero as it is according to the faded sign facing the street behind. However, and now it stands as 7 stories of rickety staircases, peeling wallpaper and stained linoleum, where those down on their luck seek shelter on the cheap in Chicago's west side. Presumably, this is the place in Bobby's territory where you may feed. You can head inside and try your luck, or perhaps you might like to hunt on the streets.
I'm going to head inside and then see if I can hear where anyone is.
Yeah.
While also activating my silence because I'm guessing this is a different scene.
Yes, there's different scenes. You can activate it again.
I see no reason why.
Just wanna
not
follow him in?
inside.
Am I still covered head to toe in gore?
Yes.
You need to clean up. That is.
Oh, I guess
It's
I'm
probably not
still
wise
covered
if
in
you
blood as
enter.
Hey.
well. Are we still entered in blood as well? Because
I've
you said
probably
we
got a
got
little
covered.
bit on.
You've got like, it's not like he's covered in blood. You've got like a couple spots here and there, but like not really visible in dim lights. Like, unless someone was standing right in front of you, they probably wouldn't notice that you've got blood stains
Him on the
in
other
your
hand's
clothes.
goddamn fucking red
Yeah.
light and a half.
So this old building, it's like a rundown.
Yeah, seems to be. It looks like it used to be a luxury hotel decades and decades ago, but looks like it's now just like a cheap motel / boarding house. You know, people come in, pay $10 for a night, fuck their whores and leave, no questions asked type place.
Wonderful.
And we're in an alley.
You've come out on you're on the front of the street now, in front of the building. But you can, if you don't want to go inside, you can look around. I'm sure you can find someone on the streets to feed from.
I personally would actually like to go back into the alley and circle the building, looking for any like back entrances and such.
That's a good idea.
We need to get you cleaned up.
What would you like to do, Alexander?
I would like to do. I would like to see if I can find a phone.
Yep.
somewhere.
Do you want to stay on the streets and find a phone?
Yeah. Well,
Remy's.
actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and stay out of sight to avoid being seen.
Yep.
covered in show blood.
So I'm going to ask you to make a. So you want to? Do you want to just like stay out of sight, hiding below things, or do you just want to make your way slowly down the street. Try not to draw attention to yourself.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'd like you to please make a manipulation stealth check. Remy, I'd like you to please make a wits survival check.
A success.
Success. And what are you going to do, Roger? You're just going to go in the front door?
I might go inside and see if I can secure us a room while they're doing whatever the hell they're doing.
Okay, so 1 blue. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, all on the red dice. 1 critical.
Yeah, but so it's not a messy critical. So you silently leave the others. You go back into the alleyway, make your way down, following the brick wall, and do a full circle of the building, and you do find a metal door at the back. When this was a hotel, what must have been some sort of staff entrance. There's an old sign on it saying what it's for, but the writing's long faded. You notice there's quite a poor quality looking padlock and chain barring the door shut.
I'm going to assume something bad happens if I get to Hunger 5.
If you get to Hunger 5, it's an automatic Hunger Frenzy.
Yeah, okay, I don't want to try and get strong to break it. Can I just, look around to see if it's been used recently? Has someone come and...
It looks like there's some rust starting to grow on the underside of the padlock and on the chain links. It looks like the owners of this building have just decided to seal off this entrance and just not use it, funneling everyone through the front instead. You could possibly try to pick it.
I could, but I have literally nothing to try and pick it, so...
Well, you could pick something up off the ground and try to do it. It'd make it a bit harder, but you could... It's quite a weak-looking padlock. All you have to do is get something in the mechanism, and you could probably break the lock.
You know what? Fuck it, I'll try.
Alright, please make a wits larceny check.
Wits larceny, okay, so that will give me only 2 dice, but both of them have to be hunger?
Yep.
That's 1 pass.
1 pass. You look around and you see a bent piece of wire hanging out of a dumpster next to the door. You grab it and you crouch in front of the padlock and you stick the wire up into the shaft and jiggle it around, and after a few seconds of effort you hear a loud snap and the padlock just breaks off the chain, and then the chain rattles as it falls through the door handle and drops to the floor.
Okay, I'll
You grab it.
test the door and see if I can...
You grab the door and it creaks as it opens, but it opens. Inside is dark. There's no lights on.
I can't see in the dark, I guess.
Do you just want to sneak in? See if you can make your way to one of the rooms and...
If I'm holding the chain,
Yeah.
does that then gain the...
No, only
so
your
that
footsteps.
Will
Yeah.
still... Okay.
Do you have your knife, though?
The user silences their footsteps, clothing, minor collisions, and other sounds of their person.
Yeah, you do have your knife.
Yeah, I do have my knife, that's fine. Yeah, I'll try and stealth in and see if I can...
So please make a dex stealth check, or you may add an extra dice from your obfuscate.
So it's
He
4.
hasn't mentioned he's going off to do any of this.
No, he's just gone off. He's left you to your own devices.
And ask for a room for like 3 people. Meanwhile, this guy's already snuck in and got his own fucking room.
I'm not looking for a room.
Oh,
1,
good.
2, 3, 4, and then you said an extra one from
Yep.
my silence, so that's, and it was 4, so that's 4 and 4, okay. 1, 2, 3.
There are 3. You open the door and step into the shadow inside, look around. It takes a few seconds for your eyes to adjust, and you realise you're in an old, disused kitchen. Probably where they prepared meals for the guests of the hotel. Carefully pull the door shut behind you and creep towards a light at the back of the kitchen leading out to the boarding house proper. nobody sees you as you exit the kitchen and begin to make your way down the hallway. What are you looking for?
Anybody by themselves.
Anybody by themselves. I would like you to please make a wits awareness check.
4 for my wits. They're all red. And 2 blue.
So you want to try to find someone who's not in a room, just someone who's in the hallways?
Yeah. Someone who's by themselves in a hallway.
Yep.
Or if there's an open room.
Yeah, if there's any unlocked rooms, yeah.
Well, if the door's open and there's someone in there, like cleaning service or something. Okay, that's 110 on a red.
Yeah, but it's not 2.
Yeah, but
It's only if you have a second 10, then you'll have a messy critical.
But otherwise, that's the only pass that I got.
Yep, oh, it's fine. It's still a 10. Okay, so you creep through the halls of the old boarding house for about 15 minutes, looking for anyone, staying out of sight and using the silence to remain hidden. And eventually, you hear footsteps. You look around and you see a woman dressed in a purple sequined formal outfit, wearing a white masquerade mask, laughing as she talks on a cell phone. She walks down the hall towards you, not noticing you as you duck and hide behind a bookshelf, and as she giggles and then says, look, it's been a long night. I'll call you in the morning, okay? And she hangs up the phone. She stops in front of one of the rooms, reaches into a handbag, pulls out a key, and begins to unlock the door.
I would like to, because I'm silent, as soon as walk up behind her, and as soon as she opens the door, I want to grab her mouth and just stab her in the neck.
Alright. I would like you to please make... Well, you've already passed your stealth check. I would like you to please make a dex brawl check to grab her and subdue her.
Will this be a stone?
Yeah, it'll be if he... We'll see what he does first.
I'm more curious about what the other person's going to do.
Not trying to change it, but what's the difference between a melee check and a brawl check?
Melee is if you're, like, stabbing someone with the knife. Brawl is you're coming up behind, restraining her. Or do you mean you just want to walk up and go straight into her neck?
Get up and cover her mouth and stab her at the same time.
So that's a brawl, because you're restraining her.
That's fine. It's just melee and brawl. To me, that's the same thing, so I was just wanting to clarify.
Melee is like... You're fighting with weapons.
Yeah, melee is you're in a knife fight. Brawl is you're subduing someone.
Okay. That's 1 pass and 1 fail.
Alright, I'm gonna roll for her.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Let's see.
1. Fuck you.
She's wavering as she inserts the key in the lock. It takes her a few tries to get it in. She might have had a bit much to drink tonight, so you might be lucky. She's receiving 1 less dice in her dice pool. That is 0 successes.
Wow.
She doesn't notice you coming up, and as you hear the door click, and she pushes it open and begins to stagger into the dark room, you follow her in, and you kick the door shut behind you, and then you wrap your arm around her neck, and as she opens her mouth to scream, you clamp your hand over her mouth and hold your knife to her throat. What do you do?
Insert it.
You insert the knife. Please make a fighting brawl check.
So just the brawl?
Yeah, sorry, brawl and strength.
So 2 red.
I'm just doing this to determine how much damage you do.
Because
Because you might not instantly kill her.
No, that's fine.
Meanwhile, downstairs, I'm basically going, I really like a nice
That's 1 pass.
1 pass
And no
plus
damage.
1 pass plus a knife. That is 3 damage, and because she's immortal, that's aggravated damage. So you insert your knife into her throat. She begins to struggle, her body twitching, and you hear the blood, you hear her gurgling. As she begins to choke on her blood, and it starts spilling out of her neck. You hold her as she struggles. It takes a solid 10 minutes before she finally bleeds out
Jesus.
and falls limp in your arms.
When she gets sufficiently weak enough, I would actually like to start drinking her while her heart's still pumping. Because I don't have...
You wait for the struggling to get weaker, and then you throw her to the floor, kneel down on top of her, and start to drink the blood as it comes gushing out of her neck. She twitches and weakly struggles as you drink, and after about 10 minutes she fully bleeds out. She goes limp, makes one last gurgle, and dies. Reset your hunger to 0, please.
I just want to confirm, because I have baby teeth. Does that satisfy?
You have. It just means that you don't bite to drink. You have to get the blood out
Which
some
is why
other way.
I said that while she was still alive, I wanted to start drinking.
Unfortunately, it makes it much harder for you to keep people alive when you drink from them. But so you reset your hunger to 0 because you fully drink from her, and I would like you to put a cross through one of your empty humanity boxes. That is a stain.
So a full cross?
One
slash.
Yeah, you 1 slash. Okay.
Oh, fun.
After you've finished drinking, after savouring the blood, the tastiest... It's tastier than the best meal you've had. It's smoother than the nicest drink. It's more addictive than the best drug you've been on. After you're done, you let out a sigh of relief. Then what do you do?
Would you say that I have an innate knowledge that I can do thin blood alchemy?
Yes. That's
so
what you
would
have.
that mean that I would innately know that for the one thing
formula that you have, yep.
I would need choleric human blood.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, you can, when you drink the blood, you taste the resonance of the blood, which is the emotion that the person had. And...
so I need a certain type of human blood. Okay.
And now, as you drink her blood, you feel the resonance of her emotion, and you happen to be lucky. It was choleric blood. She was bad-tempered or irritable person. She let herself hang loose this night, but in her day-to-day life, unbeknownst to you, this woman is quite tense and stuck up and...
Oh, I believe she's loosened up a pretty well now.
Have I drunk her so dry that I would not be able to harvest any blood into a cup?
Yes, I would... I'll keep that in mind. You'd be enough. You've drained her dry to satisfy your hunger. There would be enough blood for you to get like a little tiny bit to store in a cup.
Yes, I would like to do that.
Yeah, so you head to the kitchenette of the room, open one of the cupboards and pull out a little plastic mug, and you take it over to where she lies on the floor, and you pick her up and you squeeze her neck with your hand as one would squeeze an orange, forcing the last dregs of blood to roll out and drip into the mug.
Because I didn't get a chance to actually pick what type of distillation
Yep.
I do, would I be able to be the Athanor Corporis and drink the blood to do to start the process?
You then lift up the mug and you feel something stirring in your body, and you realize you don't need this. You just lift the mug to your mouth and just take a swig, downing the blood, and in your body her blood mixes with that of your own and begins to churn. You can feel it. Something's happening with it.
Can I find any nylon in this room?
You can. You look over to her table, and there are some nylon stockings laid out on the end of the bed.
I need to melt them and ingest them as well. So would I be able to put them in the microwave,
Yep.
melt them, ingest them, and that... I believe
Yeah.
then,
So
I need to do a stamina alchemy
you do.
to create the spell, the potion spell,
Yep.
I guess. Ready for
And
activation.
so, you wander over to the microwave. You grab the nylon stockings off the end of the bed, pull the microwave open, chuck the stockings in, and set them to cook for 1 minute. You watch as they first catch fire and then turn into a powder-like ash. You scrape them out. You scrape the ash out of the microwave once it dings. Open your mouth. And you have a brief moment where you think, this is ridiculous. Why am I doing this? And then you chomp down on the ash, forcing it down your throat. I'd like you to make a stamina check. Please remove 1 dice from your dice pool, because as you do this, you suddenly feel your entire body begin to waver. And you almost fall over and stumble, because that woman was blind drunk.
No, yep, fair enough. So that's just the stamina.
Just
it's not stamina and alchemy.
Stamina and alchemy, yeah. But your alchemy is 1, so it's just... So maybe just remove that.
2 stamina
Yeah.
and 1 alchemy. So
Yep.
that'll just be
I
2.
have to remember that. So.
And
Do I
there's
need to do the rouse check before or after?
rouse check first. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, you're fine. Hunger's at 0 still. Oh wait, no. Hunger's at 1. Yeah.
Hunger's at 2 because you rolled a 1.
Yeah, I rolled a 1.
Oh yeah, that was a critical fail. Yeah. So hunger is at 2.
Shit.
Nearly done nothing for me, but fuck it.
Well, he did go from like 4
Yeah.
down to 2. So
That's something. That's something. I'm gonna have to remember
That's
that.
1 pass.
Blood roll, because that's gonna really be a problem.
Well,
Yeah.
that's 7, sorry.
yep, that's a success. You complete the formulation within your body and can now use it at will.
It's the only one I can have, that's the only one I can have, so...
After you're done with it, after you feel the blood and the nylon mixing within whatever passes for a stomach in a vampire, you realise that you are done here. Do you just leave her where she is? There's no indication that anything supernatural would have happened to her. For all anyone knows, a prowler snuck into her room and cut her throat.
I'm going to put her in the bed and, like, tuck her in.
Yep. So you lift up her broken husk-like body, carry it over to the bed, pull down the sheets, slowly lower her in, and then pull the sheets up to her chin, reach over and pull her eyelids shut, making it look like she's asleep. Save for the pools of blood that have now sunk into the carpet, won't be immediately obvious what's happened to her, and those won't be visible unless someone turns the light on.
And then I guess I'm
You're gonna
going
leave.
to go out the way I came.
Yeah, so please make a dex stealth check.
So 2 red, 2 blue, to make up to 4. Sorry, and then another 3 blue. And I'm still silent.
Yep.
1, 2, 3. 3 passes.
3 passes. You slowly leave the room, carefully shut the door behind you, and exit the way you came. No one is aware that you have entered and fed this night. Alexander, you went in search of a telephone. You make your way into the streets, blending in, hiding in the shadows of the shop fronts and high-rise buildings, trying not to draw attention to yourself. You walk about 2 blocks from the Cicero, and whenever people pass you, you press further into the shadows of the towering buildings, and no one gives you a second glance. You come to a street corner, and you find a blue phone box on the curb.
Sure. I'd like to call upon a contact.
Yep.
To try and procure a new suit.
Head into the phone box. You pull up the receiver, hold it to your ear, and dial the number. What is your contact's name?
Vincent.
And who is he?
He is a tailor, one of the finest in the city. He can do clothing repairs, have gowns ready for events. He's the guy you call when nobody else will do.
You call, you put in the number to Vincent. You let it ring through for a few seconds, then you hear a click as he answers. You state your name and what you want, and he says, at 3 a.m, a social function.
Discretion is of value.
He says, well, I can have it. I have a suit in your size already made. Where should I have it delivered to?
What street am I on?
You just give him the name of the street.
Yeah.
He says, what, you're having a party on the street corner?
It's tender matter.
He says, fine.
The less you know, the better.
He says, I'll have one of my runners out with it momentarily. Stay where you are. You hear a click as he hangs up, and sure enough, within 30 minutes, you see an immaculately dressed man in a bespoke tailored suit in sunglasses, making his way down the street towards you. And when he reaches the phone box, he places a brown paper bag on the footpath in front of it, and without glancing at you, continues on his way.
Yeah. I'll say I'm charged to the Borger account.
Borger account.
As he's walking away, all he hears is, he wears his sunglasses.
This is at night.
So he can see.
I'll get changed in a
Yep.
secluded alley and then continue to the Cicero.
Yep. So,
Clean myself up as best I can.
you pull the bag into the phone booth and shut the door and use it as a makeshift changing booth. You put on the new suit. It does indeed fit you perfectly. Put the old one in the bag, and what do you do with the bag?
Just toss it in a dumpster.
Yep. You step out onto the street. You see a trash can in front of a small flight of stairs in front of one of the buildings. You raise the lid, throw the bag inside, and then you make your way back to the Cicero, where you see Roger staring at Greg, the civil servant, who's walking down the street, his back turned to you. Roger informs you that Greg has decided that he's out for the night. He's not going to creep around in a boarding house wanting to drink someone, that he's not going to stoop to that level, and despite all your protests, he just walks away to the edge of the street, hails a taxi, and drives off into the night.
So I'm just slightly exasperated from all that.
You then see Alexander approaching in a brand new suit, identical to his old one, but now clean.
You know what, I'm just going to file that under questions for later. I'm not going to ask. I've had enough of questions for one night. Still waiting on... What was the other guy's name?
No. What was your name, Remy?
Barry.
Barry, yeah.
Still waiting for that Barry guy to come back. The other one's...
Yeah,
Right.
Barry's gone, and he said he was going to go... Before he left, he said he was going to go look for another entrance, but he hasn't come back, so do you guys want to just step in through the front?
I step in through the front.
Yep. Step into the Cicero. A clerk watches the front desk. His job seems to be mostly to chase away vagrants and to call the cops if the tenants start fighting too loudly. He's doughy and pliable, and more interested in watching sports on his tiny portable TV than doing his job. He quickly glances at you as you enter and then shrugs and turns back to his sports game.
So, if we want to get a room of some description.
If you want, you could just try to walk past him.
Yeah, just walk past him.
You just walk past him. He doesn't look up from his TV.
Oh, wonderful.
So this is a apartment?
It's It's not like a crappy motel, basically. You just walk straight past the clerk, through the lobby, past the moth-bitten couches and piles of old magazines that decorated it, into the hallway that leads to all the rooms. What are you looking for?
Somewhere to sleep.
Somewhere to sleep? You don't want to feed, but what do you want to do?
So I know this as an adventurer is very selective with what they go after. Am I even going to instinctively know?
You will instinctively know, but that said, on your first night, your Ventru clan bane may not have manifested properly. This may be your only chance to feed on anyone you like. That said, already, as a lawyer who is part of an outreach program that helps the homeless, you feel yourself drawn to the less fortunate, even now. So you might have an idea that that's the type of person you're looking for.
I mean, it's not the cleanest place in the world. I don't suppose there would be any of those would-be vagrants lying around.
No, but this is a pretty awful motel, and people here are definitely down on their luck. They may not be homeless as such, but...
I definitely enjoy the idea of doing this, but I suppose I could do this to be a little bit cleaner than...
Yeah, then...
I have no idea what he's done, so I can't mention him, but they'll just...
Okay, so you make your way down the halls, and at this time of the night, it looks like everyone's in their rooms asleep. You could try to see if any are still open, otherwise you could knock on a door, or you could try to pick a lock.
I might return to the front and just try and book myself a room.
Yep.
Yeah, I might do the same for now. I can work on this whole feeding crap later, come to terms with it later.
That's fair enough.
I don't have the... my skills are mostly for talking, and all the sneaking around and breaking and entering is not my shtick.
So as you head back to... Are you sure you don't want to see if any doors are unlocked? Or just decide... Well, what are you at, hunger 2?
Yeah.
No, so you're not too hungry, and he's...
say,
so you guys don't really need to feed.
I'm not... Mine's not a desperate...
Yeah. So, you both shrug looking at the deserted hallway. You make your way back to the foyer, and as you start to approach the clerk, you see the front door opening, and you see Barry walking in from outside. He's all red in the face. Looks like he's been running and he's out of breath. And as he walks towards you, Roger, you hear the ringtone of the burner phone you were given by Bobby Weatherbottom.
Okay. So I will move myself to the side very quickly, and I will take this call.
Very well. You pick up the phone and... do you say anything?
I will just answer it and go, speak.
A female voice simply says, Have you dealt with your hunger?
I will look between that one there, and I can assume I can tell what he's
Yeah.
been up to.
Well, he looks like he's out of breath, but he's not, like, looking around, like, obviously looking for blood anymore.
We go. It seems we've had our fill for the evening.
The voice says, Good. Bobby told me to pick you up. I'm pulling up, well, right now, she says. And as she says that, you look through the glass doors and you see a posh black limousine coming to a stop outside on the curb.
Staying after all.
And you head outside.
Get outside.
Yep. Right outside as well.
You head outside and the back window begins to slowly lower. On the other side of it is a gorgeous woman with long, flowing black hair that flows past her shoulder. She smiles at you, the moonlight illuminating her pale skin. You see her reach her arm down, and she pushes the door open, and then she moves to the other side of the car, pats the empty seat beside her, motioning for you to climb in.
Yeah, I called dibs on that seat.
I'll step in.
Yep.
A respectful distance.
Keep a respectful distance. Yep.
Keep my mouth shut. for
This
the
is
moment.
anyone not getting in?
I'll take whatever seat's available.
Yep. So you all pile into the back of the limousine, and Barry, who's the last one in, pulls the door shut behind him. As soon as you're seated, without any words, you hear the engine roar, and the car pulls out again onto the street and begins to drive through the slums of Chicago. The woman looks at each of you in turn, studying you, and then she smiles and she says, "I'm Jackie. Nice to meet you."
Nice to meet you too. I heard Bobby said he had a friend that could help us. I definitely wasn't expecting all of this, but I'm considering the rest of the evening. This is a very, very pleasant turn of events.
She says, "Yes, I've been ordered to take you to the Red Star. Red Star's a local hangout for some of us. It's set up as a temporary shelter. You can stay here, at least for the coming day. It's important that we get you somewhere safe before you sleep."
Understandable.
She smiles. She says, "As far as mortals can tell, we're dead during the day. Corpses. Waking up is extremely difficult. Can only do it for a few minutes, and then only if the situation is truly dire. Take good care, or you'll wake up the next night in a body bag or at the morgue, if you wake up at all. That's why I'm giving you a place to sleep. But you'll have to find a safe place to stay long term. Somewhere no one knows about. Only feeding is more important than a safe place to rest each day, but just barely. Remember, we can't handle sunlight. Even indirect sunlight hurts, and it drives your beast crazy with fear. Wherever you sleep, it's got to be perfectly light-proof. Car trunks and hotel bathrooms will work in a pinch. You absolutely must. There's always a risk that a mortal will open the door, and then you're toast. Literally," she smiles.
Wonderful.
Suddenly, the driver lowers the window of glass separating the back of the limo from the front. He says, matter-of-factly, "Miss Jackie, ma'am, a white van is following us. I will try to evade it, but they're gaining on us." You turn, look over your shoulder. You can see the white van in the street behind you. It's definitely the same one that was following you earlier. And despite this driver's best effort to lose them, the limo just can't maneuver quickly enough. And they're gaining on you. Jackie looks at you impatiently. You know how to shoot, right?"
Yes.
Quite well handled a firearm.
Not a damn bit.
She nods towards the glove compartment beside her.
I reach in and take out the gun.
You reach in and find...
Hand it to the hunter.
Yep. You reach in, see 3 9mm handguns placed neatly in the glove compartment. Reach in, take one out, and hand it to Barry. You take one for yourself?
I mean, I'll take one as a last effort, but I'm definitely not going to be using it if I don't have to.
I check that it's loaded.
You check it, pull the safety off, eject the magazine. The magazine is full, and there is a round already in the chamber.
Barry just grins.
So
This
I
is something that he knows.
I was gonna say, we're just gonna be looking around, going. So I take it discretion is less advised at this point.
As if to answer your question, the high beams on the van turn on, piercing piercing the inside of the limo and bathing it with glowing white light. You hear a roar as the white van begins to speed up.
Oh, good. Definitely not something.
Are we on a road or like
You
where
are
exactly?
on a street.
Yep.
At the moment, it appears to be relatively deserted because it's like 3 in the morning.
Can I wind down the window and lean out?
Yeah, you want to?
Yeah, I want to
Alright.
wind down the window, lean out, and empty 3 shots into
Yep.
the windscreen.
So you
of the-
reach over, wind down the window, poke out, raise the gun, aim it at the van, and fire. Please make a Dex firearms check.
Yeah, I
200.
never do this crap. I have.
And you can rouse... I don't think you can rouse the blood because you're a thin blood.
Just because I'm in Chicago doesn't mean I know
Yeah.
how to fire a gun. God damn
Yeah.
it. And it's mightier than the sword.
One critical.
Ooh, 2 criticals.
God, there goes the three.
That's
Yeah.
that's 6 successes.
Oh my
One, but it's not a double.
Yeah, that's 6 successes, and it's a critical. You fire your gun. Bang! A bullet hole pierces the passenger side of the windscreen, and within a fraction of a second, you see a big blood spatter cover that side of the windscreen. The driver of the van obviously freaks out as you hear the tire screech. The van swerves to the left for a few seconds and then screams back onto the road, seemingly more determined than ever to catch you, but now falling behind a bit. Alexander, what would you like to do?
Are there witnesses around?
You look around and you see a taxi at the very end of the street. Aside from that, you appear to be lucky.
Would he be able to see us from here?
He'd have to be looking specifically in your direction, otherwise he looks like he's looking ahead, possibly looking to turn when he reaches the end of the block.
Sure, as he's gaining on us, I do the extendy thing.
Thing again?
Except this time I do it with the gun in my hand. I just literally just like
Point
reach
it
out, reach
right-
it out, just point it at the passenger window and put it into the side of his head.
Suppose we're just watching going, didn't we just get a whole tenant now not doing... Okay, we're doing this now.
Please rouse the blood.
I'm still staring at this gun going,
I'm at hunger 3.
Okay.
Glad
You-
to see that meal helped
you-
out before.
You lean towards Barry, and Barry looks at you for a moment, and he's gonna look on his face like, how are you gonna aim? You're like sitting in the middle of the limo, and then you reach out your hand, and it starts to extend.
Like my arm, like you just see like my torso just like going into my arm and just gets longer and longer and longer, like a huge, basically like a daddy long legs arm. It's long and it's thin, and I have just enough strength in the hand to pull the trigger into the passenger side window.
You see Jackie just stare at you transfixed as you do this, as your arm gets longer and longer and longer, until it's parallel with the van. You point the gun into the driver's side window and pull the trigger. A red blood stain paints the windscreen of the van, and it screeches as it comes to a stop. Jackie looks at you with a look of puzzlement on her face, so that she composes herself. She reaches down, opens her designer purse, and pulls out a tiny pistol, bedazzled with sparkling rhinestones, looking almost like a toy. She turns around and aims through the back windshield and then fires, popping both of the front tires of the van. It quickly screeches to a stop and then tips over in the middle of the street as the driver slams his foot on the pedal, tearing off into the night.
I'm guessing his arm is back in the
Do you retract it
Yeah,
back into the
retract
car?
I'll just be looking at Jackie
So-
just going...
So we efficiently dealt with the driver and the passenger, and then you draw attention to the limo by firing out the back window.
She looks at you and she says, "Oh, we got more limos than this one."
Yeah, but what if there's a cop around the next corner?
Actually, I'm going to have to agree with him on that one. shut out back window doesn't, even in this neighborhood, shut out back window in a limo doesn't exactly scream, law-abiding.
We're in a bad neighborhood.
Yeah, she smiles and she says, when was the last time you saw a cop in the West Side?
Pauses and goes, touche. And also just looks at him and looks back at Alexander going, I don't suppose you've seen this before. I'm afraid Bobby had no idea who he is. I'm guessing you have no idea either.
She says, Bobby did mention one of you was a walking masquerade breach. I think I can guess which one. And she looks pointedly at Alexander.
So I'm guessing that means you have no idea what that's all about either?
She just looks at you and she says, hey, I ain't no Cammy. I don't give a fuck what you do.
Okay, so the mystery demons.
The Hexacammy.
She says, Cammy. She says, oh. Now, see, Bobby said you were new, but, he didn't say, you just got embraced last night. She sighs, and she says, alright, look, Cammies, or the Camarilla, they're a political faction that would rather have nothing to do with us, young kindred. They've circled their wagons against the Second Inquisition, and they dabble very little in our affairs. Frankly, I prefer it that way too. They have a million rules about population control. Oh, you can only embrace with the prince's permission. Oh, you can only make a ghoul when the sheriff says you can. Oh, if you're a certain generation, you can't embrace at all. Oh, there can only be a maximum of this many kindred in each domain. As if that'll uphold the secret of our existence.
You've just used about half a dozen words that I don't know what any of them means, but we're going to file that away for later since...
I'm putting this all aside.
Yes. Yes.
Well, she's...
She looks at you and she says, did you not feed at the Cicero?
I believe he fed well and truly shut us a little bit before we got there. I assume our hunter friend definitely,
I did.
Jackie looks at you and she says, you're the one who tore that poor man to shreds, aren't you?
That is an understatement.
She says, and it did not satisfy you.
No, it did not.
She said, you drank from the thin blood.
Yes.
Did that satisfy you?
I see, my eyes narrow into, a predatory, feel like a mouse being stared at by a hawk.
I checked the gun again.
Yeah, you see that it's still loaded.
Okay.
Just lean over, reaching for my gun as well. Going, I'll take that.
She sighs and she says, I know what you want. And she offers her bare arm to you. You instinctually know what to do.
Fangs into it and I draw deep.
Sink your fangs into her arm and you drink deep. You may reset your hunger to...
One?
You may set your hunger to one. Reset your hunger to 1, yes. And as she withdraws her hand and you sit there for a moment, just feeling orgasmic in the ecstasy of drinking her blood, she looks at you and she winks and she says, don't make a habit of it. Word to the wise. You drink from a lick enough times and they have full control over you. It's called the blood bond.
Really? Interesting.
She says...
Should I be feeling this effect now?
She says, usually not after one drink, unless... She looks at you, and then something dawns on her, and she rolls her eyes, and she says, oh, you've got it bad, don't you?
Not in the slightest, actually.
She rolls her eyes again, and says, well, like I said, you meet any cammies or anyone like that? Be careful when you drink from them. Someone like you, they're going to take advantage of. She says, stick to, She looks towards Gary, but doesn't say anything.
Well, putting that aside, I will confidently say that yes, he's fed now, before and whatnot. I myself have not, I don't know what it is, couldn't quite find anything particular to my tastes, but I suppose we'll fix that down the road, not particularly hungry as it is.
She nods and she says, Bobby said you were a Ventru and he was afraid we wouldn't find what you were looking for at the Cicero. Not to worry, we'll find something. She smiles cheekily. The car comes to a stop, butting up against a freeway overpass. The Red Star is a dingy 2-story bar. It's the kind of place where drinks are unpretentious, mostly beer and bourbon. The fanciest cocktail one can order here is a Jack and Coke. She leads you inside. A no-nonsense brunette wearing jeans and a leather vest quickly introduces herself to you as Sage, a fellow kindred, and then leads you to the bar's windowless storeroom where threadbare sheets cover thin hospital mattresses. You immediately stagger to the mattresses, and as you could see, the very first hint of the morning sun starting to peek through the boarded-up windows, you collapse onto the mattresses, immediately lost to unconsciousness. Your eyes pop open at sundown, alert and ready to go. Despite the day of sleep, you feel your hunger, your endless companion, still with you, and you briefly reminisce about the events of last night.
Rouse?
Yep, all of you please make a rouse check as you awaken. And you briefly reminisce about the events from last night.
4, because I got a nat 1 again.
Nat 1, yep.
3.
So you're up to hunger 4, you literally just fed.
So does that mean I go up if I roll a 3?
Yep, you're up to hunger 3.
Makes me ask a question.
Yep.
It says here, thin blood suffers hunger just as any vampire, however the beast is far severe, and thin blood never frenzies unless provoked by supernatural...
Yep, okay, so you can get, that means you can get to hunger 5 and nothing will happen.
But I just can't use
You just can't use your abilities, yeah.
that require a round.
Because if you rouse blood at 5 hunger and fail, you run out of blood and you go into torpor. Which means you basically just go, vampire can't function, vampire sleep for hundreds of years.
Vampire no function, blood well without.
Yeah.
Yep, cool.
Fine.
As you open your eyes, you see a man dressed in the bow tie and vest of a bartender standing over you. He reaches down, Alexander, with a hand to help you up.
I take it and feel for a pulse as I do so.
He picks you up and helps you to your feet. You can feel his pulse and heartbeat. He's mortal.
Wonderful.
After he helps you up, he reaches over and does the same to Barry and Roger, and you both feel his pulse in his wrist. He is mortal. For a moment, you struggle with your desire to sate your hunger, and then you wonder if he's into the whole deal. Do you say or do anything?
I'm curious to see a heartbeat. In here, I assumed if this was a safe house for... What do they call it's not the V word, what was they called it again?
The bartender nods. He says, "It is." And then he reaches into his vest and procures 2 hospital blood bags, still filled with blood. He hands one to each of you.
I take it.
I mean, reluctantly, but...
Yeah, you take it, and both of you, even though Barry's not a Ventru, this blood is foul. It's like drinking spoiled milk. Bagged blood is stale and not at all pleasurable to drink, but it does give you a bit of satisfaction. Please lower your hunger by 1.
That's for both of us.
Yes.
Well, that was... Look over at Alexander going, so how come you enjoy this? That was disgusting.
Have you ever drunk milk straight from a pail
Just as it looks down at the suit and everything else going, can't say I've been near a farm in my life, so I'm gonna go with no.
It just tastes better.
How could I have to find a different cow then?
The bartender motions. Follow me. And he begins to lead you out of the storeroom up to the ground floor. When you arrive in the ground floor of the Red Star, you see two kindred who you've already met, Sage and Jackie. Jackie looks at you as you enter, a worried look on her face, while Sage just stares. Sleep well? Asks Sage, brushing some of her brown hair out of her face.
It's exactly the Ritz, but it'll do.
She says...
The lodgings are acceptable.
She says it's better than a dumpster out on the streets. It's more than the camis would give you.
Like I said, it'll do.
Jackie sighs and she looks at each of you and she says, I've been trying to get a hold of Bobby. I haven't heard from him. I'm going to try to make some calls. I'll be back. As she steps out of the room, she looks at Sage and she says... They stare at each other, clearly indulging in an unspoken conversation. Sage just narrows her eyes and glares, and then Jackie sighs and says, Fine, give them the spiel, try to recruit them, go ahead. And then she exits the room. Sage looks at you, each in turn, and she says, well, first of all, I must say, make sure you ask the bartender if you need anything. He's a ghoul. He gets a bit of kindred blood once a month. Makes him loyal and stronger. Always good to have someone looking out for your daytime needs.
Interesting.
She folds her arms and she says, Now, any of you heard of the Anarch movement?
I was put into this world the night before last. So perhaps...
Let's just pretend for the sake of everyone here that we don't know and move along.
She smiles, clearly seeing an opportunity, and her eyes glimmer with almost lifelike enthusiasm as she launches into a spiel. Well, the Anarch movement is freedom from fascists, capitalists, and other assholes. The elders in the Camarilla try to hoard all the resources, keep all the blood to themselves, and push us younger licks under the bus and into the hands of the Inquisitors. Not on my watch, not while a single one of us Anarchs can bare our fangs at 'em. She rants on for another 20 minutes, explaining terminology that you can barely comprehend, talking about generations and the formation of the Camarilla, and
Lovely filibuster scene.
you're unable to even get a question in edgewise until finally she finishes. She just sighs, leans back, and says, well, yeah, obviously I think you should join the Anarch movement, but I'm not going to force you or anything. Whatever you do, though, stick together. Rough out there for a lick on their own. Without a crew, you'll die.
Rousing speech. Fantastic. I'm going to pretend that I understood all of that, and we'll come back to you later.
So, you would accept us unconditionally.
She looks at you and she says, well, unless you're one of those Sabat fucks and your idea of fun is massacring an entire nightclub or something, sure. She says, hell, just by looking at you, I can tell you're young. And then she looks over at Barry, and says, and he's a thin blood. Your chances of being accepted in the Camarilla are as narrow as your chances of going out there at sunrise tomorrow morning and living another night.
Pleasant.
She looks over at Barry and she says, and that brings me to another thing. Duskborn, Don't suppose anyone actually explained to you what a thin blood is?
You keep using that statement, even I'm getting curious as to what exactly that means.
She says, well, I'll make it simple. Each of us licks, well, we don't really care how old you are. We don't care how thick your blood is. Well, for the most part. The camis, though, especially the Ventru, they're obsessed with lineage. Track their exact line right back to the original vampire. Call it generation. You're an 8th generation vampire, you embrace, your child is 9th. Most licks these days are 12th or 13th, though in the last couple of decades, with the influence of the Camarilla falling and with the Second Inquisition coming up, restrictions on embracing have gotten a bit lax. And where normally those past 13th generation would be quite rare, in these nights we have the 14th, the 15th, and the 16th generations. The camis are the ones who call them thin bloods. The idea is that because your generation is so high and you're so far removed from the original vampire, you're barely a kindred at all. She says, but you're here now, and, well, I bet you know firsthand that you're not exactly human anymore.
You don't say.
Well, congratulations. Understatement of the century, ladies and gentlemen, the witness.
Can we just backtrack just a tiny? Did that lady try to get the guns back when we tried to get out of the
No,
car?
she didn't. She just left them with you.
Okay,
So we've all got a gun.
Yeah, you've all got a gun.
I have a gun. I can't do shit with
Yeah.
it. I have
Tell
one.
me, say.
So you've all got a pistol and it deals 2 damage.
Do you know what your brethren gave him a label called Venture or some such? Gave him a label called Dustball or some such. Yet, you all refuse to name me, and I'm wondering why.
She looks at you and she says, so from what I've heard, you do this thing where you raise your arm and extend it down the length of a whole road, make it go parallel to a car, and then shoot the driver right there point blank through the window.
I
I
wish
did that, yes.
I was going to say, you should have seen what we did to the first person you came across. That was sight to behold.
She says, you are, unless I'm mistaken, of Clan Zamisi. She says, and I would keep that a secret. Clan Zamisi, well, they're not well liked by Anarch or Camarilla alike. The fact that a Zamisi embraced in Chicago probably means they were on the run from somebody. Anyone finds out what clan you are, and, well, they're liable to stake you and leave you up on a roof somewhere.
So what you're saying is I'm not the most hated in this group.
She smiles and she says, that'd be a toss-up.
Just see me basically take my glasses off and just start rubbing my eyes going, oh great, my options of survival are with an with a half-blood or whatever the hell it is, and I don't even want to know what that is. This is just a freak and a half-blood. This is...
I
I'll
pull
talk
out
stuff.
the gun and just look at it and go, I don't... I've changed, that much obvious, but already I've discovered new things that I like and enjoy. I'm just here to do what I need to do to survive, I guess.
She smiles and she says, you're catching on. She says, be careful. The camis might try to use you. As she finishes her sentence, you hear the sound of the door behind the bar opening, and Jackie comes walking back out, still clad in her tight formal dress. She's looking at her phone. She presses a button and puts it back in her handbag. She looks across the room and then she says, Ventru, Roger. She says, I got news for you. Your sire is still alive. He got away from the Second Inquisition, and although I've been unable to get in contact with Bobby, I just booked a meeting between you and your sire.
Wonderful. Great. It would be lovely to meet the lovely person that essentially killed me and made me a creature of the night. That would be fantastic.
She looks at the other two. She says...
Also, what do you mean... Oh, I was going to say...
Yeah, what do you mean by...
Yeah, what exactly do you mean by he survived?
She says, well, your guess is as good as mine. The fact that we found you all... The fact that you were found in that freezer suggests that your sires were ambushed after embracing you. And, well, don't take this the wrong way, but Ventru aren't exactly running through the streets throwing cars at people.
Can we do that?
She says, well, we can, and she jabs her chest with her thumb.
Well, I suppose I'll work out what the hell I'm doing as we go.
She looks at the other two and she says, your sires, as far as I know, didn't survive, but you're new and you need to stick together, so my suggestion would be to meet with his sire. Unless you have any better ideas.
None whatsoever. It's unusual for me.
She claps her hands together and she says, well, good. Your sire's at the Armitage. Outside, the limo is waiting, and it will take you right there. Oh, be careful though. The Armitage is in downtown Chicago. That's Camarilla turf. I don't know why your sire is at a Camarilla haunt. Look, I don't know the guy, I only know him in passing. He's new to the city. But I didn't know he was a Cami sympathizer. The fact that he's hanging around there, though, obviously suggests that he at least has some sympathies on that side. So...
I don't suppose this person has a name.
She says, indeed. You may call him Nathan Bordruff.
Do you have anything that's less conspicuous than a damn limo?
She says,
We've been
well...
on two and we've been tailed twice, one of them ending in combat.
She says, well, sure, I can always call you a taxi.
Well, I would have called it slaughterable compact.
I don't know what the hell to call it.
She says, keep in mind you are paying the Camarilla a visit. Probably don't want to turn up in a beater.
Probably also don't want to turn up with a white van on our tail.
Touché, she says. That said, we did them quite the number last night.
Okay.
She says, if anything, they're going to take a while to lick their wounds and regroup.
That's lovely. I'm sort of look over at Alexander with his lovely new spanking suit, look down to one wearing going, I don't suppose you have anything to fix the sort of just gestures of clothing. I suppose if I should probably look somewhat presentable.
She claps her hands and says, Sage, clothing for Roger, please. Sage nods. She crosses the bar and heads over to a large cabinet on the other side of the room, and she says, yeah, we do keep some spares here for Anarchs down on their luck. She pulls open the closet, and inside you see a leather jacket and jeans, and the leather jacket's covered in covered in badges and pins for heavy metal bands.
And I'll just stares at it and just mutters across at Alexander. I don't suppose you could introduce me to your tailor at some point, but we'll work with this for now.
I don't suppose I could. Drink.
She looks at you and she says, hungry again? She sighs and looks at Sage and points to you. Sage walks over, presents her arm.
Considering what we've seen being capable of...
I sink my fangs into her and I take a deep drink.
You take a deep drink. Reset your hunger to 1, please.
Gonna get changed as we go going. Yeah, probably best we get that sorted before we have any more
You
problems.
put on the clothes, and as you put them on, you pull the leather jacket around you, and you can't help noticing that most of the badges and patches are for a band known as Baby Chorus. You've never heard of them.
Got outlook for the rich and powerful, may I have heard of?
You have not heard of Baby Chorus either. They certainly don't play in any of the high society venues that you've...
I'm just going to try and find a bathroom that has a working mirror, or like a...
Yep.
non-broken mirror just so I can wash what's inevitably going to be blood off my face and hands
that's
and arms
fair.
and
You head to the small, small cramped bathroom with the cracked porcelain tiles and a blinking dim light bulb hanging from the roof. You step in front of the grimy, cracked mirror and splash water on your face, washing away the remnants of last night's meal.
I'm not too fussed about my clothes, but I may as well have my face and hands
clean.
I'm just basically lamenting the fact that I'm going from at least a well-worn suit to just this almost seems like a downgrade, but it's like, sort that out later, I suppose.
Jackie's luxurious limousine takes you through the dirty parts of the city. Under every freeway overpass, tent cities proliferate. Beggars with cardboard signs plead for spare change whenever the car stops at an intersection. And every time it does, Roger, you find yourself inexplicably staring out of the window, transfixed on them. But abruptly, that all ends over the length of a single city block as the limousine passes into downtown Chicago. No more tent cities or panhandlers. All the buildings are shiny and new. Everyone on the street is beautiful and trendy. And looming above it all, the Armitage Hotel. Inside, wealthy tourists toting designer luggage check in at the Cherrywood hospitality desk. The opulence dazzles all of you, and you feel decidedly out of place among such fashionable people, especially Roger, dressed for a metal concert. And you do draw a few looks as you make your way through the foyer.
This is literally the opposite of what I was hoping for, but
I'm trying to think what my guy's wearing.
Yeah, what is your guy wearing?
I'm not entirely sure, because he's in a city, that's for sure, but he's also not a suit and tie man.
You're probably just wearing, like, cargo pants, boots, and a t-shirt.
Yeah,
probably camos.
Camos.
Say probably urban camo.
Yeah.
That's at the very least. Just the...
So, we have Alexander dressed for the occasion, and we have Roger covered in, wearing a leather jacket and jeans, covered in badges for a band he hasn't even heard of. We have a guy in combat boots and camos. You're drawing looks from these people who are obviously high society, but before any of them can say anything, a tall Asian woman approaches you. She wears a beautiful blue and white pantsuit, her jewelry subtly indicating her allegiance. She introduces herself as Allison, shaking each of your hands. And as you shake her hands, you feel the heartbeat under her skin. She's mortal, probably a ghoul, like the bartender at the Red Star. She leads you through the foyer and into the bar. The bar is as beautiful and trendy as the rest of the hotel. Kindred and ghouls alike canoodle on couches as they overlook the glittering lights outside. The bartender lives only to make sure the characters get what they desire. Half a dozen other ghouls, all wearing black clothing and earpieces, stand around the perimeter of the room, looking out for trouble. Do you do anything, or do you just keep following her?
Not follow her.
Exactly. We'll continue lamenting my current sense of style, and we'll just keep following.
She leads you across the bar. A couple of the kindred stare at you, but unlike the mortals out in the foyer, their gazes don't linger too long. They're probably used to new kindred coming in, dressed in all sorts of bizarre ensembles. At the very back of the bar, there is a huge glass window that takes up the majority of the wall, looking down at the rest of downtown at the bottom of the hill. You see a man in a tight-fitting grey suit with gelled blonde hair, his back turned to you, staring out at the city, his hands clasped behind his back. Allison clears her throat, and then she turns around and walks back into the bar, leaving you alone with this man. The man turns around, sees you standing there, and then his gaze immediately focuses on Roger. He smiles, and he says, "Ah! My prodigal child returns. Had no doubt we'd meet again. You are of strong blood. Of course you are. But I welcome you and your companions. What can I get for you? He gestures towards 3 empty seats, 3 empty armchairs arranged around a glass coffee table.
I'll take a seat.
You take a seat and he just looks and curls his upper lip. Barry, what do you do?
I'd take a seat as well.
Yep, you sort of take a seat.
Very
And
nonchalant
I guess
about
you're like
liking.
just leaning back, your feet on the coffee table and
No, my feet aren't on the coffee table, but I am leaning back a little bit.
relaxed.
I'm very much just taking it as it comes. Like, it's not sending me into an existential crisis.
That's fair.
It's more just, I came here to this city
To hunt.
to hunt, and not necessarily hunt legal things.
And yeah, this
And
promises
so
to be
it's-
a hunt.
It's like I kind of left what moral people do behind a while ago to come here in the first place.
Entirely fair.
So I'm just like, what's happening now?
What do you do, Roger?
Well, a drink definitely would be nice after the last day or so, but we'll sit down, and as I do, go and basically just go, apologies for the wardrobe. I didn't exactly have a lot of options to work with, and my last outfit was, well, let's just say sitting around the meat freezer does not do good.
He
For an
says,
outfit, sir.
I have asked about more than once. If you could get me in touch with your tailor, that would be fantastic.
as he looks at your outfit, he just shudders and he says, yes, it's the Second Inquisition. Terrifying. Never let them catch your scent. He raises a hand as you sit down, and as you take your seats and get comfortable, you see a blonde-haired woman wearing the outfit of a waitress approach you. She silently walks towards you and stares at you, her eyes glazed over, and without saying anything, she holds out an arm to each of you, her hands limp.
I turn it down. Look elsewhere.
Oh, thank you.
Take it. You lean in, bite into her arm, and begin to drink. You relish the taste of blood. You've gotten a taste for this, but you find it lacking, stale. You haven't yet realized what the fuss is all about. All you know is that it nourishes you for now, and that's enough.
I only take a small amount and just go. Usually, if I mean drink, I usually mean it's decent bourbon. I suppose if anything, we get the taste of that out of my mouth.
You may reduce your hunger by 1.
Take that much, nothing else.
Your sire turns to the woman once you're done, and then he gestures for her to leave, silently telling her to be gone. She looks over at him and in a monotone voice says, "Yes, my liege," and turns around and silently makes her way back into the bar proper.
Definitely an interesting parlor trick there.
Your sire says, "Yes, and a specialty of our clan." He stretches, leans back in his chair and says, "Well, recently, as you can see, I secured membership in the Camarilla. My future is thus assured. I want to make you the same offer. And your companions too, I suppose. Not of membership, not right now, of course, and I don't have the authority to grant that. But we can help and support each other. You work with me on a few current projects, and in a few years," he holds out his hands aloft, "all this could be yours. If one has the gift of eternal life, then why spend it sleeping in grubby bars?"
Also, something just like storage history, just in case you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Third one down in the drawers.
Yeah. That is fair, but he's not a Tremere.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
just for
Yeah.
a reference in.
Yeah,
this
in
area.
what you... Yeah.
Now, so let's then go.
That said, it's not immediately obvious what you are yet, so...
I will just sort of, well, that's all well and good. I don't suppose you'd indulge me in asking a quick question.
Go ahead, he says.
You mentioned that you're the one that determines side me, correct?
He says, yes.
Why?
He says, well, Roger Maxwell, I've heard of you. I did a background check, and you're not from the best school, and your marks were adequate, not much else. But, from what I've heard, you have a silver tongue, you know how to talk your way across a courtroom, and, well, I could use someone who has a way with words and knows their way around the legal system. He clears his throat and says, as for why, let us say that, well, in my line of business, sometimes certain people and commodities go missing or are misplaced, and sometimes having someone in your corner to take the heat off one's organization is incredibly useful. Says, so I sought you out, and I embraced you. I'd barely done the deed when the Second Inquisition, obviously they'd been following me, ambushed us. They immediately secured you, drove you away in that white van, and were about to put an end to me. Thankfully, with my dominate discipline, I convinced them to turn their stakes on themselves.
Charming. It is nice to hear some of the things I could actually be capable of, but questioning that one. But doesn't explain what exactly you'd even need me for. If you could dominate people as you say, why even need to you go through the legal system as it was? You clearly have, just looking around the place here, you clearly have more than enough. Look, we're not going to lie. You know that once you get to a high enough place in the social ladder, removing legal boundaries is morally questionable, but not exactly an obstacle that can't be overcome. So, why exactly?
He smiles and he says, let us say that it's not exactly the type of scene I would be welcome in. With that, he leans forwards, and now that he's almost face to face with you, you recognize him. You don't know him by the name Nathan Bordriff. You know him by the name Mickey McGee, an Irish gangster in Chicago, one of the high-ranking bosses in the Irish mob.
Oh. So that's it, eh?
He says, good. You understand. So, what can I offer you if you help me out? Well, a safe haven, for one. Safety against the Inquisition. We know how to deal with them in the Camarilla. Superior hunting grounds. You won't have to go breaking and entering in boarding houses. And, well, your companions will probably have no other way of hunting in this city unless you stick to my territory. Camarilla has the best territory in the city. You won't have to sneak and risk poaching and getting caught.
Why were the rest of us...
Why were the rest of you embraced?
Yeah.
He says, well, do not know your sires. He says, I can probably answer why you were embraced, though. He takes a look at you, look of clear contempt on his face, and he says, how is a thin blood always embraced? Somebody has a regretful fuck. They kill their target and decide, oh no, I've killed a human, whatever will I do? And they embrace them and then wander off and leave the poor little thin blood to fend for himself.
So it's a coincidence that all of us were created on the same night.
He's
captured by the same people and sent to the same facility.
He's silent for a moment, and then he says, coincidence? Well, I'm not sure I have an answer to that. Sometimes coincidence, sometimes fate, sometimes luck, and nothing more. This is the Second Inquisition cannot tell the difference between our kind and yours. They probably just decided to round up what they thought were baby kindred, run some experiments on them, and see what happens. He says, think nothing of the fact that you were created on the same night. Prince Jackson is much more lax than he thinks on the issue of embracing. Child are created every night, whether we like it or not. And, well, this is not the time of Prince Loden anymore. The population of Chicago is increasing at a steady rate. It's not entirely impossible that three kindred and you were created on the same night.
Is it possible to do an insight check to see if he's like
Yes.
covering?
You can make a resolve insight check, please. Or a wits insight check.
Actually, reminds me, we probably check to see what happened to our fourth companion since
Yeah,
never
well-
actually said what happened to him. Well, we'll just assume he's either safe somewhere, hiding in a dumpster, or he's burnt to a crisp somewhere, hiding in a dumpster. You may never know.
3 passes.
3 passes.
Successes.
There's something he's not telling you, but he seems at the moment to have his mind preoccupied by something else. What do you wish to say?
Withholding information doesn't become you.
He leans back, he looks at you, and he says, if you're thinking that I was in some way responsible for your capture, absolutely I was not. The Second Inquisition is a dangerous sword which cuts both ways.
Oh, I doubt you're the reason for our capture. I just want to know why we were all made together.
He says, well, perhaps tonight is the test to see if you are capable of understanding that.
Try me now.
He says, just wait. You have infinite time. Waiting shouldn't kill you.
No, but not understanding what we're here for definitely will.
He says, and that's why I will tell you, I'm simply here to extend an offer. You see... Yep.
Who calls the shots around here?
And he says, well, that would be the Prince, Prince Jackson. Every Camarilla city is ruled by a prince, an elder of our kind whose word is law. The Primogen Council is a group of local leaders, usually one from each of the clans, who advise the prince and share in the management of the city. This city is no different. Here in Chicago, we abide by the laws and dictations of Prince Jackson, child of Prince Loden. He says you may have a chance to meet the prince. In fact, if you do what I say and decide to accept my offer, then you must be presented to the prince. It is law that every neonate is presented to the prince.
What's your opinion on the anarchs?
He scoffs and he says, anarchs? Pfft. Any vampire worth their blood should want and be worthy of membership in the Camarilla. This organization has done more to protect kindred society than any other group in history. The Camarilla stopped the First Inquisition. Do you think that disorganized rabble, the Anarchs, have the power to stand against the Second Inquisition? No. They'll die screaming in the streets, or... Their idea of subtlety is to pick up a car and hurl it at their enemy. I beg you not to join them and see such an end yourself. I can only imagine what Bobby Weatherbottom and his friends may have told you. I feel for them. We used to be like a family, you know.
They did mention you'd only very recently joined up with the Camarilla, as you put it.
I would like you to please make a charisma etiquette check.
Oh, lovely.
that's 6.
I had something that I wanted to say now.
6, 7, 8.
Oh.
I've been up for 24 hours.
That's
so-
okay. It's okay, we're near the end.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's just I had something to
That's
say
fair.
that might have got him to actually tell us
1,
something.
2, 3, 4, 5 passes.
5 passes.
Oh, none of those are beneath 8.
He says, as far as the anarchs of this city know, I was not of the Camarilla. In fact, I'm not from this city at all, so I don't blame them for not knowing a thing. I come from Milwaukee. And his voice lowers. He says, well, I prefer not to think of it this way, but I am something of a refugee. He says, I've come to Chicago to find a new home, live out the rest of my nights in peace.
So, what exactly would cause someone of your stature to leave a place like Milwaukee?
He just smiles and he says, lupines.
The fuck are lupines?
They're just going...
He says, you are a kindred? Well, no, you're not a kindred,
Okay.
but you have spent the last night with kindred, have you not? So if they exist, then surely it's not a far-fetched
Can
assumption.
you ever answer plainly? What is a lupine?
He just looks at you and he says, oh, if we must be blunt, a werewolf.
Thank you.
So, again, back to the... So, first, kindred, or the what as everyone else calls them, and of course werewolves would exist. I take it that it's not as cut and dry as simply a petty squabble between the two.
He says, no, very much not. The Prince of Milwaukee was rent asunder at the claws of the lupines, and the kindred society scattered across the Midwest. He says, but Chicago is the jewel of the Camarilla. The lupines will never set foot here. He says, here is what I wish for you to do. He raises his hand, and Allison, the Asian woman from before, approaches. She's carrying a laptop computer. She places it down on the glass coffee table and presses a button. A video pops up on the screen and begins to play. The video is short and it looks rough, but you can clearly see yourselves depicted in it. It shows you wandering around the walk-in freezer of the restaurant you fled to last night. It begins as you woke up and rose to your feet, and breaks off about a minute later when Barry approaches it and jabs it with his knife, jerking it to the side. The rest of the film consists of it staring at the frost-covered walls. The moment of you awakening and feasting upon the blood of the dead man is shown in a repeating loop, which Allison allows to loop for a few iterations. She reaches over, presses a button, and pauses the video at the frame where Barry is slashing the corpse's throat, while the rest of you look on, your mouths open, clearly famished with hunger. Your sire looks at you and he says, one of our operatives got a hold of this recording. The anarchs are on their way to destroy the cameras, but we got there first. And, well, we happen to know they've recorded you. We believe that the Inquisitors that have been following you hold the original tape. If you recover it, I promise I will give you a shot at beginning your process to join our organization.
How did you know about the place? Only the anarchs knew about it.
Yeah, that was...
He just smiles and he says, please, do not underestimate the contacts that a Ventru such as myself has in every city.
And yet it was the anarchs that got to us first.
Yeah, I was say if your contacts are as great as they are, how exactly were you beaten to the punch by the ones you consider to be riffraff?
He looks at you, and he looks at you, and then he suddenly stands up out of his seat, shooting right up. I'm gonna roll dice.
Consider that nerve touch.
He stands up and he grabs the laptop and opens his mouth, showing his fangs. He growls as he hefts the laptop across the bar. It flies across the room, hits the wall at the opposite end, and shatters. All of the ghouls and kindred fall silent, staring at him. He stares back at them. And he suddenly composes himself and sits down. And then he looks at Barry and he says, "Push me to near frenzy again, and I will have a blood hunt called upon you."
And now we know why you're just an entry member of the Camarilla.
He bears his...
I was going to say before there's anything, I'll just put a hand up going. Okay, clearly tempers are running hot, ironically, given our situation.
He bares his fangs and then he says, "Perhaps I might have told you. Now I will not." He looks at each of you in turn. I'm going to roll some dice.
Okay, clearly we're no longer negotiating.
And then he says, slowly and carefully, he says slowly and carefully, "I command you to find that van and recover that tape." He sits back, takes a breath, and says, "Now, how you want to do it is up to you. If I had to offer some advice, I would say, hop in a car, get them to chase you, lead them into some cul-de-sac or dead end, have an ambush ready to go. I understand the Anarchs let you have use of a limousine. I don't think they will miss it if some Inquisitors die in the process," he says, "but clearly you're such a experienced and resourceful coterie, so I will leave it up to you to decide what to do." He gestures with his hand. "Be gone."
So we don't do anything to resist that whole commandment thing, or just...
Yeah, no, you've been dominated.
Ah, lovely.
And as an 11th generation,
Yeah,
you cannot resist.
Charming. Well, it was lovely to meet you. I'm sure we'll do this all again soon, I suppose.
He smiles and he says, "Get the tape, and then we'll talk."
It's not like we have a choice anyway.
You follow the Asian ghoul back.
As
Yep.
we walk out, I just say, one day I'll be powerful enough that people like you will actually answer my questions.
I'm gonna roll. He hears it, and you just hear
I
him.
wasn't trying to stop. I wasn't trying to.
You just
mutter
hear
it.
him. You just hear him laugh and say, "Yes, yes. I think you'll have to diablerize at least 7 of us before you get there." And the Asian ghoul, Ellison, leads you back through the bar and through the opulent foyer, back to the entrance of the Armitage. And then she gestures for you to exit out onto the cold, windy streets of downtown Chicago, pulls the doors shut behind her, shutting you out. How would you like to go about this?
Well, mainly just sit on the street, stare over at Barry and going, "Well, I understand no one's enjoying the situation we're in. Maybe try not to upset the person that could kill all of us."
Barry's laughing.
Yeah, Barry's just
As long as
laughing.
you're having a good
There are
time.
certain situations where you do want to hold one's tongue.
There
Otherwise,
would-
one might have found himself deadness. But you understand me.
Oh, I understand plenty of things. This building that we're in,
Yeah, that you've just come out of.
are there I'm assuming are ghoul guards?
There are ghoul
Everywhere?
bodyguards. Well, in the bar at least. The foyer and outside, you don't see any. They're probably not expecting some young kindred to make a fuss outside.
I've got a plan.
Well, go ahead.
Okay. I'll do it by
Explain.
myself.
Did I ask?
Get the limo. get their attention of the
Inquisitors.
Drive here and run inside.
You
That
want-
is a fucking foolhardy
Look,
plan.
I know barely anything about the lovely new world we've just been dragged into, but I'm pretty
But
sure
driving
leading...
their enemies to the door is a terrible fucking plan.
True.
Best case scenario, they follow us inside, they get killed off, and then we get killed off for having the balls to even consider it in the first place.
There'll only be a few in the van.
I would be
There
more
will
concerned.
be. Yes, I'm not concerned about the ones in the van.
The van, yeah, if we're going to take out the ones in the van, not my concern. My concern is them stringing us up and tearing us to pieces. No offense.
He did tell us to get it done.
Yeah, he... Look,
He doesn't trust us to get it done properly. Well, he should trust his own ghouls to get it done properly.
this is going to be a very long evening.
I mean, it's an he only ordered you to get the tape and deal with the Inquisitors. He didn't say how. This would
Yeah.
get rid of them.
Yes, it would get rid of them and probably get us completely and utterly destroyed.
Might get you staked and left out for the sun,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I would prefer not to annoy potential benefactors. You may not wish to see another evening. I do.
Yes, as much as fun as we're having upsetting the one beside me, I'd rather not push that button any further if we don't have to. Especially considering we're now literally
Do we have any way of tracking this black cat?
I have no idea. I'm just as stumped on the matter as you are. They seem to be able to track us down pretty easily.
Well, then let's just drive around in the limo until they catch us. We can make a plan from there, depending on how they do so.
you sure that's wise?
No.
No. Sadly, it's still somehow a step up from the original plan of dragging them straight back to...
So you're gonna drive around till you find the white van and
We'll drive around till the white van finds us.
yeah, till the white van finds you.
On one hand, yes, there's a chance that would lure them out. On the other hand, for obvious reasons, we do have a strict time limit for how long we can make that work. We time that wrong, and we all fry. That's much of that whole vampire thing, or
Perhaps we should talk to the anarchs again.
Yeah, you've got the burner phone. You can just pick it up, hit redial, and
I hit redial.
Oh, I was gonna say just pass the phone over.
the phone rings. Boop, 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 boop. You hear Jackie's voice saying, "Oh, how did the meeting with your sire go?"
Well, the thin blood almost got us killed, but aside from that, we have a job to do.
She says,
Inquisitors to kill, a videotape to get. Do you have any assistance you could render?
She says, "The same white van as last night?"
Yes.
She says, "Sure. The limo is bulletproof."
I consider myself somewhat indebted to you if I could use it.
She says, "Find them, bring them to the west side. There is
Finding them is the first step that I could use some assistance with.
She says, "Well, I doubt they will be in the west side again after what happened last night." She says, "I have a feeling they'll be cruising somewhere downtown. They know that the west side is dangerous, so they'll probably be looking somewhere where they think they've got a bit more of a chance to not be attacked. That said, if they see you, recognize the limo, they'll probably be out for blood. If you agree that I owe you a boon, I can have some licks ready at an ambush."
Wait, so we owe her or she?
You owe her a boon.
Seems all I gotta
Okay,
do is
explain to me the terms and conditions associated with the boon, because the emphasis you put on that word suggests this is one of great importance.
She says, "Oh, indeed. To licks such as ourselves, boons are, well, I would say they're social currency, but they're more just currency, everything currency, like money when you were immortal. Boons allow us to call in social capital, spend goodwill, have others solve our problems. I'm performing a boon for you for free, and so I expect it repaid at some point in the future.
I see no issue with this arrangement.
It'll seem to do as accrued debt, so what's one more upon the pile?
Are we all agreed?
Sure.
She says...
Nothing else we have the majority.
That's okay. She says, very well. She says, you will remember where the Red Star is. A few blocks from there, on the edge of downtown and west side, there is an overpass. The overpass is Route 90. Under Route 90, just off South Battle Avenue, there is a cul-de-sac, a dead end underneath the underpass. Once they get there, they will be trapped. I will have the licks pull in at the end of the street, trapping them, and after that, it'll be up to you. They won't be able to flee. Deal with them how you will.
Would I be able to add one small thing that could help all of us?
Yeah, go ahead.
Would we be able to borrow a small amount of money so that we may contact a contact of mine and get weapons that are not pistols?
She says,
In the middle of downtown Chicago, I don't think we'd want anything bigger than pistols.
We're not carrying them around, just only using them during the ambush. And I'm not talking missile launchers or anything, I mean just Uzis, or something with a little bit more firepower than just a single shot pistol.
She says, I can send someone to make the purchase if you can convince your contact that we are friends.
I believe if you go telling them that Barry Archer sent you and you just show them the correct money, they will.
Wonderful, she says, and you pass on the details for your contact. She says, I will have munitions procured for you and all the licks.
Don't worry too much about me. Can't say I've fired so much as a shot in my life. Giving me a bigger gun's not going to help matters.
She says, well, the night is not young. The Cammies expect things to be done post-haste. And while I, for one, don't really care if they get pissed off waiting, I don't want you to be left out for the sun this morning, so I would get to it.
Wonderful. Right. We know roughly where we should go. We know roughly what the plan is. Let's post haste.
Yep. So you climb into the limo. The existing ghoul driver, are you happy to have him drive?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very well.
Just so you know, the contact that I have is the level 3 one.
Yep.
It's just a weapons dealer.
Yeah, I know what weapons he will provide.
Yeah.
Okay, so you quickly explain to the ghoul driver your plan, and he nods, and he says, well, I hope you know what you're doing, because if you're going down, I'm going down with you. And then he turns the key, starts the engine, and rolls off into the night. Sure enough, within an hour of driving through the streets of Chicago, slowly making your way through the traffic, the car weaving through the streets lit by street lights and the bright yellow glow emanating from an entire city of glass towers and skyscrapers. You find the white van. As soon as you see it, the ghoul slams his foot on the pedal, revving up the engine and speeding through the intersection straight past the white van. Sure enough, as soon as you drive past, the high beams turn on and the van roars to life, screaming after you. Sure you want the ghoul to drive? Trust in him?
I trust in him.
Would you like to do anything while he leads the van in the chase?
Sure. I'm going to rouse the blood and protein again.
Yep.
This time I am going to reduce my stamina and dexterity by 1 each to give myself 4 points of armor.
Yep.
As you see, my ribs fuse together and thicken.
Ooh, 4 points of armor. Nice. Yeah, please rouse the blood.
Pass.
Pass. Okay, no hunger increase.
So.
Alexander, Roger and Barry. Anything you'd like to do, or just trust in the ghoul to lure the Inquisitors into the trap?
I do have a fortitude ability, but I don't know if I even know if I could use it or not, because obviously I've never done anything like that before.
No, you instinctively know how.
So at level 1 I have all of the abilities under level 1, correct?
No, just one. You pick one.
Oh, I just picked one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So would you like to use any of your disciplines?
I'm trying to make sure. No, I don't really have anything that's gonna.
Yep.
On that one.
Does Barry wish to do anything?
How far behind are they?
Maybe about 2 or 3 cars lengths. They can gain on you if the ghoul's driving is not good enough. They might gain on you. So
I would like to once again lean out the window, and I'd like to try and not shoot the people. I want to try and shoot like the window
to slow them down a bit.
Make them a little bit more cautious, so that we have more time to get out of the vehicle.
That's a good idea.
To the cul-de-sac.
Okay, so you grab the gun out of the belt of your camo pants. You wind down the window and hang out. Make a dexterity firearms check, please.
Can I have one more blue, please? One, two, three, four,
Ooh,
5.
nice. Bang! You fire a bullet into the windshield right next to the existing hole. You see the silhouettes inside jump back, startled, and the van falls back at least another car length as they pull away.
Does it begin swerving?
It swerves slightly to the left, but it mostly just slows down and pulls back, so it doesn't get too close.
Okay.
Whenever they get closer than 3 cars lengths, I would like to try and
Fire a gun, yep.
fire a gun at them.
Very well. I'm going to do a roll for them, and then I'm going to do a roll for the ghoul. 2. Okay, lovely. The chase continues for the next 20 minutes. The white van gaining on you at various points and losing you. A dangerous and fast-paced game of cat and mouse through the streets of Chicago. Every time it gets dangerously close, Barry leans out the window, fires a shot hitting a headlight or the front hood of the van, causing it to fall back a little more. The ghoul is silent. Yep.
Is the back window still smashed out?
It is, yes.
Okay.
The ghoul is silent, his lips pursed as he concentrates, spinning the wheel around with superhuman strength and wrenching it in the opposite direction. Several times you feel the limo rise up onto 2 wheels and then thump back down, jolting you all forwards. Finally, you see the edge where downtown meets the west side, and you see the overpass of Highway 90. The white van still behind you. The ghoul wrenches the wheel to the left, and the tires squeal as he screams into the cul-de-sac. He drives right to the end and then slams his foot on the brakes.
As they're screaming down the cul-de-sac, I'd like to undo my belt.
Yep.
Jump out the back window and just basically body slam into the
T-1000.
Christ.
using basically using the borrowed armor, as I said, as an impact thing.
Is it impact thing? Yep,
Again,
alright.
just sitting there going, so you could do all this shit, what the hell can I possibly do?
Okay, I'd like you to please make a strength athletics check.
Jesus
And you
Christ.
may add an extra dice to it because of your protean.
Just throw myself at T-1000 still. It's like, well, this is all wonderful. I can't wait to see what I can actually fucking do.
3. Wait a second. 3 from that, 1 from athletics, an extra 1 from protean. And I may rouse the blood for 2 dice.
2 dice, yep.
Which I go upper hunger.
That's okay.
So I get an extra dice, replace one of those, and then get 2 of those. I would like to spend a willpower to reroll.
Roll, yep, that's a rule that I was going to bring up during the actual campaign, but you can spend a willpower to reroll up to 3 dice in a dice pool. But it counts as willpower damage. You cannot reroll a hunger dice.
Yes.
No.
Okay. So I'm just going to reroll these 2. That brings it up to a total of... that was a 6, sorry.
6?
1,
Alright.
2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 6 successes.
Alright. As the limo screeches to a stop, the white van barrels down the street, and then behind it, you see an orange minibus just reverse from behind a warehouse, blocking the exit from the cul-de-sac.
Because we were watching the Grand Theft Auto
Yeah.
guys before, I'm just
Yeah, just
imagining
imagine
that
fucking
cul-de-sac.
gross street.
Yeah. The
Oh.
So yeah, basically just see
Yeah.
me just like undo my seatbelt and just like
leap
out
through the
again.
back window.
What the, it's just...
Alexander leaps out of the back window, and as he
You
does...
see like bony, just like stuff grow all over my like shoulder and arm and head and stuff.
Again, we'll just continue to sit there and go, yeah, no, I can't wait to
So
see
how
what
many
amazing
successes
things
did you
I
get?
can do."
6.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
So the driver of the van sees you coming, and you see his mouth drop. His eyes go wide as he grabs the wheel and tries to wrench it to the side to swerve out of the way, but he only got 3 successes, and so he is too late, and Alexander slams into the front of the van, taking it head on, and so that's 4 levels of armor you have.
Yes.
Okay. You take 2 points of superficial damage.
Sure. So I'll have temporarily 1 less hit points, so use the points down, but that's fine.
As you hit the front of the van, and the force of it driving full speed towards you makes you bounce off it, flying back and landing on your back.
I'm aiming to go through the windshield.
Oh, aiming to go through the windshield. Okay, yeah.
Which has
All
a
right.
few bullet holes in
Yes,
it.
it does. Yeah.
He's going straight for the red kangaroo
Yeah.
policy.
So you leap through the windshield, it shatters, and behind the windshield you see a government goon type dressed in a black suit with black sunglasses. And as soon as you break through the windshield, you just hear him yell, "Fuck!" And beside him, there's a woman with shoulder-length white hair, and she's just turning and looking, her eyes wide, and her hand reaches into her jacket where you know a gun to be hidden. What do you do?
Have I done any damage by going
Through the windshield, he's
and-
going to attempt to dodge. He got 4 successes. He ducks as you fly over him. Hit the wall separating the cockpit of the van from the back, leaving a
That's what-
huge dent in it.
That's where the my two damage came from.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to rouse the blood again.
Yep.
That is a success. And I'm going to turn 2 of those points of armor into some easy weapons. So you
Yep.
see basically...
We didn't see shit because you're now in the fucking van.
I'm just going to basically turn into a death blender in the...
Yeah. Put blades and...
We're still in the
Blades.
car watching this shit.
Okay.
Requisitions were useless.
No, well, they're not. They're not, because there's more than 2 people in the van. But, Okay, go ahead and make a fighting brawl check, please.
Would this be melee?
Actually, yeah, because they're weapons. Melee.
Which is 2, 3, and 2.
They don't have melee weapons, so they're just going to attempt to dodge.
Dodge.
Okay, so that's...
that is a lot of successes.
How many?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7, okay, so...
Plus two
yeah, plus
from
2.
From the BC weapons.
Yep, so 2 damage. Well, they get... Yeah, so 2 damage,
so it's 9 damage total.
Okay, well, if you hit them... How combat works in this game is you both roll to attack each other at the same time. The winner is the person with more successes, and the amount of damage you deal is the difference between their successes and yours, plus whatever damage your weapon deals. So, the woman is lucky. She rolled 6 successes, so she gets grazed by the tip of one of your...
So she'll take 3 points.
Yeah, she takes 3 points of aggravated damage, because mortals take aggravated damage from slashing weapons. And as the blood gushes from her torso, she screams and fires her gun at you. Bang, 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 bang! How many successes did you get on your... You got 7 on that, so she's gonna...
Yeah, 7. Yeah.
Yep, so she's going to roll...
Meanwhile,
Okay.
seeing the car going, what the hell just happened?
So that is 8 successes, including 2 criticals. So as she leans backwards, kicks open the door, she grabs out her gun and fires it at you. Bang, bang, bang! You take 3 points of superficial damage.
So I take 1 point of superficial damage because I've got 2 points of armor.
Oh yeah, 1 point of... You take 1 point of superficial damage. The driver is not so lucky. He got 3 successes, and so you deal 6 points of aggravated damage to him, and essentially chop off his head with a helicopter blade.
That boy is soup.
The van comes to an abrupt stop, and as it stops, the back doors open, and 4 more suited goons, each of them grasping submachine guns, come jumping out into the middle of the street. You two who are in the car notice as the limo comes to a stop that left right at the end of the road is a wooden crate that has been placed there. It has your contact's logo on it, and you can see military assault rifles just lined up inside.
What the
I
actual
was expecting
Christ.
Uzis, but I'm jumping out of the car and picking one up.
Yep.
And I'm guessing an ammo
Yep.
clip that's
So-
laying next to them, I'm guessing.
Yep, yeah, they're already loaded. They've got
Okay.
magazines already inserted in. Are you going to take one?
I don't know again, I got a pistol here to go.
Going to end with whole assets at
Yeah, I
that.
was gonna say.
Yeah.
Okay,
You can always rouse the blood if you want extra dice.
I guess I'm doing this now. It's not like any of my actual dominate ability. All my dominate abilities require me actually able to communicate
Yeah,
with people.
which your higher level ones you'd be able to do it in
Oh, this would be
combat,
great.
but these ones are like, okay.
Yeah,
So the two of you burst out of the car and start running towards the crate of guns. I'd like you both to please make dexterity... there's no dodge in 5th edition, so I'd like you to make dexterity athletics checks, please.
Oh, good. This is gonna be fun. I get exactly. I get 2 total. Actually.
2?
So that's
Yeah.
the athletics. Carpers have 2 more blue ones.
2, and one of those is no. This is just. This will be fun.
1, 2, 3, 4 passes.
I got 1.
1 success. So 4 successes, 1 success.
My ass is probably.
Okay, so here we go. They have a dice pool of 5 each. So one of them takes aim at Roger. The rest of them aim at Gary because he's wearing the camos and looks like a threat.
I look like shit. You actually look like a seasoned fucking veteran.
So the one Inquisitor who's aiming at Roger, he starts firing his submachine gun, and you see the bullets slam into the ground as they get closer to you and realize that they're just normal bullets. You're a young vampire, so you don't know this, but if you were older, you'd be breathing a sigh of relief that they are not Dragon's Breath rounds.
Goddamn, no.
He got 2 successes,
Yeah,
so
that's
he
gonna be
deals
bad,
4 points of superficial damage to you.
Yeah, do you have fortitude?
Huh?
Do you have fortitude?
No, I took the other one.
Ah, yep. So, yep,
Mental stuff,
put a
so-
slash through 4 of your dots.
Eat.
Now they...
Ow, 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 ow.
Now, Barry with his 4 successes. The first one gets 3, so no damage. He can't hit Barry. The second is 1 success, so he doesn't hit Barry. The third is 0 successes, a
Where was that
complete
guy for
botch.
me?
So as he goes to fire, you see his eyes just go wide, his mouth drop as his gun is jammed, so he doesn't fire at all. And you both end up getting to the crates. You grab an assault rifle each, and then what do you do? Turn and
He's
fire.
sitting there looking perfectly fine, ready to fight, but this is just me. He's just like fucking holds, just like, oh, God.
I need to point out that. I need to point out that as a thin blood, I will take.
Yeah.
missing
Ah,
damage
yes, you
like
do
normal,
take
but I can heal like
Yeah.
vampire.
So you take aggravated damage from the bullets, not official.
Consider fortitude, but after our lovely meeting with Son, I figured more mental.
Yeah, well, no, dominate will come in handy. It's just not working at the moment.
Day. I'm not a combat affiliate person. I could try with guns, but this is going to be an
Did they get far out of the van?
They've just jumped out of the back, pulled out their guns, and started shooting.
So would I be able to assume that the back of the van are the doors that open?
They're
outward?
opened outwards. Yep.
I would like to try and activate my far reach.
Yeah.
Let me
Please explain what that does, and
find it. Sorry, 284.
So you're going to appoint with some proper, like, actual communication and shit, I'll be fine.
yeah, no, well, you're a veteran, you'll be good.
Right now, however, I am completely dead weight and getting my ass kicked, but we'll be fine later.
So, far reach. This formula allows the alchemists to use their mind to grab, hold, and push objects or people without touching them.
Ooh.
So what
Yeah, you can only use it once. He then has to mix another.
I know, but
I need to do a rouse to activate
Yep.
it, as everything. I'll finish reading, and then what I would like to do is I would like to push the van doors into the people holding the
Ooh,
guns.
yeah, to knock them. That's a good idea.
To give
Okay.
us
Yeah,
maybe
some
another round
space.
or
Yeah.
two.
Okay, so please rouse the blood.
So rouse one. That's another fail. So
That's a hunger.
yeah. Where did I had a pen literally half a fucking second ago. I was playing with it.
Yeah.
Yep, this one.
We'll find it
This is what I was playing
eventually.
with. So yeah, hunger goes up to 3, and then dice pulls. I don't know how.
So it'll say in system.
100 kilos. So yeah, I've definitely got within 10 meters. Are we 10 meters away? Actually, sorry.
Yeah, you're about 10 meters
The
away.
object moves swiftly but not rapidly enough to injure a person with a blow. The object will break the fragile. Exception. Knives or other small metal tools which the alchemist can wield with a resolve plus alchemy at a 2 dice.
Yeah, so that's just saying if you're planning to try and stab them with it, you have to roll. Otherwise, you don't have to roll anything. You just slam the doors, and they're gonna.
That's what I'm trying. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
slam the doors just to jostle them to give us.
You step forwards, the rifle in one hand, you hold out your other hand, and you roar a bestial roar, and then the 2 van doors slam shut, smacking the Inquisitors. They're going to attempt rolls to not be hurt. So the first gets 2, second gets 1, third gets 4. Okay, so you hit them with the van door, knocking one of them off his feet. He falls backwards into the van and drops his gun, and it clatters down onto the floor. The second one is hit, and he's knocked down. He's not in the van, he's just knocked down onto the floor, onto his feet. He doesn't drop his gun, but it's going to take him a few seconds to recover. The third and fourth manage to get out of the way just in time. One of them calls out, "Blank body residue active! Blank body residue active!"
Okay, interesting.
And that's a list of long list of shit I don't get.
Can we move as well? Or
Yeah, you can move, yep. So would you like to move while you're
try
doing
and
this?
get behind something.
Yep. Okay.
So go prone behind
Yes,
the
you can
box
do that
if
now.
I
They're
want.
distracted. You just
Yeah,
go run behind the box.
Yeah, literally want to get into cover and then distract them.
Yep. Okay. What are you doing, Alexander? You have a gun now. Sorry. What are you doing, Roger? You got a gun now.
I have eye contact with these people.
Probably not at this distance, but if you can get closer.
I don't think I want to get fucking closer after what just happened. Yeah. Once again, I'm gonna have to, but I'm sorry.
You can rouse the blood if you need to. So
I can definitely try that, but this is.
So you don't have firearms; it'll just be dex.
Yep.
And you may rouse the blood to add an extra dice.
Oh, let's see what happens. That's a success.
So that's a success, so no more hunger, so you get an extra dice.
3 dice. 3 dice. Well, let's see if I'm any good with this thing.
2 successes.
Huh,
The
look at
guy
that.
you were firing at rolls 1 success, so
Huh.
you deal
5, I think.
you deal 5 points of aggravated damage to him. You just open fire.
Just like, let's see if this works. Holy shit!
Yeah, you see spots of
You aimed at his foot and just stitched him up to the head.
you see spots of blood just dot up his white shirt, and he falls backwards onto the concrete, and he's dead.
Yeah, like going, yeah, that really must have sucked, huh? Sucks when it's your turn.
Meanwhile, the one standing who has not been knocked down by the doors raises his he's got his assault rifle raised, and you hear him look behind his shoulder and go, blank body countermeasures, and he reaches into his coat, and you see him pull out another magazine with a red stripe on the bottom, and he swaps it in his submachine gun. Alexander, what are you doing?
Now, the bitch is bleeding out in front of me, right?
She is. She's been hit. She's not out of the car.
Okay, what about so how close am I to the guy with the countermeasures?
He's outside. He's like maybe 3 or 4 meters away from you.
How hard would it be to blindside him and just
You just keep.
cut his head off, basically?
Well, you'd have to leap through. You'd have to break through the wall separating the front and back of the van, and then you're home free. He has his back turned to you. He probably won't be able to see you coming. But she'll probably get a shot off at you while you do it. So what would you like to do?
Actually, I've got a better idea.
Yeah?
How do you think now, actually?
By the way, just so Remy and M2 know, she is the government agent of Hell of a Boss.
Yeah, I have a feeling when you start saying white hair, I was
Yeah.
going to say, good old number 2.
Alright.
Which means the
I would like to basically grab her by the hands and then with my... Actually, no, I'll just fucking just do it with one fell swoop.
Yeah.
I just want to cut both her hands off.
So you're gonna cut her hands off, and you're just gonna stay in this part of the van, cut both her hands off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deal with it.
Go ahead, make a dex melee check, please.
Dex melee?
Yep.
means probably the poor bastard that was on the other side of the car was probably the one who's now just taste.
Yep.
We were trying to fire us, and everyone stopped to ask who we were. Who are you? I'm a Virgo.
So that is... That's right, that was a 7.
That was 7 successes.
No, that was a 7. I accidentally,
Oh,
so
yep.
I'll unburn another willpower.
Alright,
and
go. Yep.
Reroll these 2, so that's 3 successes total, 5 points of damage.
3 successes. She got 2, so...
5
that,
points. So it's... But I'm just going for the hands.
yeah. But, that said, it's still aggravated damage.
Yeah.
So, you're dealing 3 points of aggravated damage. She raises her gun, and you just look at her and you go, and slash down on her hands, chopping both of them off. she sees the blood start spurting from the stumps left in her hands, and she just screams, "Ah!" But she's still up. Alright, Gary, what do you want to do?
Now that I've gotten behind cover, I'm just going to take aim at that guy who had the red
countermeasures, yep.
Yes.
Alright.
And take a shot at him.
Go ahead, make a Dex firearms check. He will be making one at the same time as he's firing back.
Yep.
But he's got a penalty to his dice pool because you're in cover.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oop. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 passes. So what's this thing that...
You can't do it, you're
Okay.
a thin blood.
Oh, right, yeah, no problem.
Okay.
That's 1, 2, 3.
He got 2 successes, you got 1 more, so that is, that is 4 points of 4 points of aggravated damage as you raise your gun and you fire. You hit him in the leg and in the shoulder and one of his arms. He nearly drops his gun and it swerves as he fires, and you see the bullets go into the asphalt, leaving small plumes of flame behind them as they hit the asphalt. Roger, what would you like to do?
I was gonna say that guy's still.
Yeah, they're actually, no one is up with their gun aiming at you. You can run in if you want.
I again really rather not.
I mean, also just taking cover is a valid
Yeah.
option for your character.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
think I'm just gonna.
That said, you can run up, grab one, look into his eyes, and...
Yeah, but I can't really make him do anything particular. I did start looking through the whole dominate thing, and any plans of, I'll just make them shoot each other. No, you can't actually get them to do crap like that until...
Not
it's
yet,
much
yeah.
later. That's like high-level dominate shit.
So-
considering I literally just killed a guy for probably the first time in my life, I might just take cover and...
Fire back.
Oh, I could try and fire back anyway.
Alright, so you're next to the crate too, so you just duck down next to Barry. You raise your gun and fire. Make a dex check, please.
Can I try and do that whole...
Yeah, you can rouse blood all the time. It's up to you whether you want to risk.
Well, I'm back up to 200 then.
Yep.
Well, great, no exploits for me.
Ugh.
That's no fun. Oh well. That's 1 success.
Yes, 1 success. He's still trying to recover from the shot that Barry made on him. He rolled 0 successes, and 2 of them were botches. And 2 of the dice were botches. This is a critical failure. So he raises the gun, and as he goes to fire it, the gun just explodes in his hand, and you see the magazine burst into flame, and the white phosphorus in the shell
No looting that down.
bursts from the back of the gun onto his body, and he catches on fire, and he starts running around, screaming, and within seconds he just falls to the ground and is a smouldering corpse.
There's a reason why white phosphorus is a war crime, kids.
Yeah. Not a pleasant way to go.
No, again, just stare down the gun, stare up and go, I didn't do that.
There are 2 guys left. One of them who's just steadied himself from the doors is getting ready to fire, and the other who is just standing there unarmed as his gun is like a meter away from him because he dropped it. What will you do, Alexander? Meanwhile, the female agent is just looking at you with the bloody stumps going,
she's essentially just fucked at this point, so...
I would like to leap out of the and take the closest agent
Yep.
in melee.
Yep, so the one who's getting ready to fire, because he's right outside the back of the door. Go ahead. Dex melee, please. He's going to... strength melee, yeah. And he's going to attempt to fire at you, but he's going to have a penalty because he's not ready.
That is 2 successes.
He got 1 success, so that is...
3 points of ag.
3 points of aggravated. You leap forwards, running towards him. He raises his gun and turns around. He getting ready to pull the trigger, and you just run towards him and go sticking your claws right into his neck, and he gurgles and then falls limp on the end of your blades.
You know what? At this point, I think I've given up on trying to figure out what the fuck you are. I don't think I want to know anymore.
There is only one guy left, and he's just standing there unarmed, and he's eyeing his gun that's like a meter away from him. What would one of you like to do?
You can just see him, he's just like drenched in blood, just stepping towards him, like daring him to go for it.
I was gonna say, if no one else is going to immediately kill him,
Just walk over, still sort of like limping, considering
I mean, you guys can feel free to shoot him while I'm like distracting him.
Oh no, I'm going for the gun.
Yep, alright. So he sees you walking towards him. Please make a manipulation intimidation check.
Okay.
Does this technically count as a veiled threat?
No, this is...
You have blades for arms that are covered in the blood of his enemies. Veil my fucking ass.
This is quite an obvious threat.
You couldn't be less veiled if someone was playing the violin bit from fucking Alfred Hitchcock in the background.
That is 3 successes.
3 successes. He sees you walking towards him, and he raises his hand. He takes a step back, and he goes, "Oh, fuck!" He looks around, and he says, "I've never even seen that kind of blank body before." And then he turns around and starts sprinting in the direction of Roger. And he runs, and he comes towards the box where both Roger and Barry are hiding. And then he sees... Barry's safely in cover, but he sees Roger poking out, and so he's still trembling. He plunges his hand into his coat and goes to reach the gun. What's your dex? 4. Yes, you are faster than him.
Well, you're faster
That
than
said,
him.
you can like, as you see him raise the gun, you can raise a hand to tell him to...
If I'm within eye contact, then I'm gonna try and basically hold out a hand and instinctively use compel.
Yep.
Very much, with eye contact and by
I will not pull the
single action command, no longer than a short sentence to be obeyed for the person, I suppose. So pretty much we'll just point a hand out and just go, "You can stop now."
So, as he reaches for his gun, you hold out a hand to Barry to tell him to wait for a moment. And then you step...
I was compelling the guy.
Oh, yeah,
going
you-
for his gun to just tell him to friggin' just
Yeah,
stop.
you just reach out, grab him, and force him down, look in your eyes, and you say, "Stop it."
No.
He's going to make his roll to resist.
yeah.
That is...
Do I have to roll something?
no, you don't. You just compelling... He rolls to resist, you're just rolling. You don't even think you need to rouse the blood.
I was just looking through which says dice pool saying charisma plus dominance versus...
Oh, yes, so yeah, please
So
roll
I
your
roll
charisma plus your dominate rank.
Well, that's going to be fun, because it's...
And then he's going to roll to resist that.
Yeah. So that's... Charisma is 3, plus 2
As
for...
soon as that gun leaves the holster, I'm pulling the trigger.
Fair enough.
Might not leave the holster at this rate if you...
That's why I said if it leaves the holster.
So that's...
3.
Yeah, 3 successes. He's going to roll to resist. That's 1 success. He looks at you, and then he pulls his hand out of his coat. He raises it, and he says, "Affirmative, affirmative." He looks to his right, and you see a little radio pinned to his lapel, and he places his hand on it, and he says, "Blank body threat disengaged. Repeat, blank body threat disengaged." And then he just stares at you.
So just blink for a moment and goes, "Ah, so that's how that works." What? Okay.
But you see me do at this point, because I'm just like leisurely just like walk up to the van, reach like one of my bladed arms, and drag this screaming woman out.
Yeah.
And then like throw her onto the ground, put the
Yeah.
feet next to the car tire, and you know that scene from Misery?
Oh god.
So I basically
Yeah.
take a bone hammer and I just break her feet over the
Okay. So
I'm
you
like,
do that,
and I'm
and
like, and I just like dragging her along, and I go, "I've got one that's not gonna run away."
she's just screaming, bleeding out. You're doing that. The guy who was just dominated sees this, and he instantly, in a swift motion, his mouth drops and he reaches
if
into
he goes
his...
into that the second he does that, I'm just going to bite him in the neck because I'm really hurt and I don't want to deal with this shit anymore.
Okay, make a strength brawl check, please.
Well, this one's going to suck, but oh well.
While
Fantastic.
he's doing that, I'm just gonna look around with my gun, and any civilians looking out windows, I'm gonna aim the gun at them.
Yep.
Just to
Oh, I
scare
thought
them away.
they said it was a abandoned cul-de-sac.
Oh, was it an abandoned?
Yeah, it's just an abandoned
Oh,
cul-de-sac.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sorry,
I'm
no,
I'm
don't
really
worry.
just rolling
I'm
one
just watching.
dice. That's
Yeah.
fine.
You can rouse the blood if you want.
Here we go. Yeah, no, this is...
Alright, well, yep.
I was just hoping that...
That's alright, you still get an
I was
extra
hoping
dice.
he was still sort of dominated at least.
Well,
Still get an extra dice,
You
even though
do I?
you failed.
yeah,
it just
you,
means
even if you
hunger.
get hunger, you still get the
okay.
extra dice.
So
So that's one success. He's not expecting this. He's reaching for the gun because he wants to shoot himself in the head because he's had enough.
I didn't know he was going to do that, so... Oh, well, I
But
did
as
that.
he does that, you leap forwards, grab onto him, pull him down behind the crate, and bite into his neck. You bite his artery out, and you just revel in the spray of blood.
I'll
And
just stop for a moment and goes, oh, God, seriously? How do you people enjoy this? That was
yeah,
disgusting.
it doesn't taste like anything. It just tastes like slightly stale water, and it doesn't satisfy you at all this time. Your hunger does not go down. In fact, as soon as you're done drinking the blood and as his body twitches and falls limp, you stand up and you immediately turn around, double over and go...
Yeah, exactly. Just vomit, just go, seriously, how does everyone else enjoy this?
Meanwhile, Alexander, please take a stain.
Yes.
Yeah, no shit.
By
You
going
are-
by
Actually,
the rule of
you
words,
didn't just instantly kill her. Please take 2 stains.
Oh my
I
God.
was going to say,
Oh, yeah.
I said, I kill only when necessary, didn't even kill her.
That said,
Not dead.
that said,
Not dead!
that
Not having a
said,
good
you
day,
tortured her. You're torturing her, so take
Yeah.
2
I was gonna
stains,
say,
please.
She's not dead.
I just shot a guy.
I shot a guy and just ripped another throat out.
And
was-
I believe that fills your humanity track.
Oh, wait. I clicked the wrong one. Yes, it does.
Yes.
I was really hoping that we
Okay.
just tried to help my health situation. but
Please
that's not how
make
this works.
a...
Willpower?
Please make a willpower equal to the stains you have, so 2 dice.
Oh boy.
Pass.
Pass!
Ah.
You're perfectly fine with what you did.
Yeah,
You
you have no
justify
problems with
this
this shit.
in the moment as she screams, as she continues bleeding out, and her bloodied, stump hands just leak red all over the
I'll
asphalt.
provide first aid.
Yeah.
Oh my
tourniquet-
God, that's even
I'll
worse.
tourniquet and all that.
Yeah.
I'm a trained butler. I know first aid.
Yeah,
Would that be?
it's intelligence medicine,
You
please.
have that.
Yeah, great. You ripped their hands off and went, there you go, I fixed the problem. I still have hands.
Shattered your ankles.
That is 3 successes.
3 successes. You drag her out, kneel down, pat her down, and find the first aid kit she has under her jacket. You rip it out, and you apply a tourniquet to both her hands. And she just looks up at you, pale in the face, and her eyes roll back in her head, and she passes out.
Oh, it's
Whoa.
Please erase your stains. You have apparently decided that what you did is perfectly fine and justified.
Well,
so
he's doing
Yeah.
that, and he's
I
drinking
woke-
the guy.
I
Well,
woke
that's
up
more like
locked in a
vomiting from
freezer.
trying.
I'm gonna go to the guys that we shot and start cutting one up to
drink. Yep.
Yeah.
So you go up to the guys you shot, and they're already covered in blood, so you don't even need to cut them. You just kneel
bullet
down and
wound.
start sucking straight out of the bullet
Pick a
hole.
wound.
Because they are already dead, you cannot be fully satisfied, so you can reset your hunger to 1, not 0.
That's
I
fine.
didn't even get my hunger satisfied. These guys suck.
But you can use this blood for alchemy, so
Yeah, can I test them to make sure that choleric?
you want to find what their yep. So you test all 3 of them, or you test all 4 of the men that you feed upon. Well, no, he's drinking once. There's 3 left,
Yeah. Well, attempted
Um,
to is...
and you find one of them, the one who had the countermeasures, is choleric.
Wait,
obviously the leader.
The one that's currently a charred husk is the.
Yeah, but there's still some blood left in that charred husk.
Well, then
Hey,
I will...
Just enough for him to take to.
Fair.
Was anything that he was wearing nylon?
No.
Damn.
But you could get nylon.
Yeah, I can get it. I'm
So
gonna
just
drink
just
some of
mark
that.
down that
again?
you have blood for one mixture.
Again, I don't think anything he had on him is probably
Yeah.
intact anymore.
No, but I need melted nylon.
Oh, that's
So-
melted nylon. You
Yeah,
have in
that's
spades, because that point,
entirely
again,
fair
White
that-
phosphorus is a goddamn war crime. The fact that these guys
Blood-
are toting it around
Blood
a fucking
for,
gun.
blood for alchemy.
Well, I mean, war crime. I mean, it's only technically a crime during war. Like hollow point rounds are technically war crimes used during
And
war.
also,
So it's more just a crime now.
Yeah, however, like police services use hollow points all the time.
and also crimes are harms committed by humans against other humans. You're not human, so
Legal loophole. What?
yeah.
Either way, my guy's too distracted from legalities
Yeah.
of murder as I'm vomiting behind a fucking
Yeah,
crate.
so after you're done throwing
I'll
up
make a note
and
of that.
after Barry's done extracting blood, the street is quiet. The smoke of the street smells like burnt meat and phosphorus and gunpowder. And you step into the van, and in the back of the van you see a single computer monitor attached to the wall. And playing on the computer monitor is a black and white video looped. It shows the entire sequence that you were shown by your sire, but what you haven't seen before is what happened before you woke up. You see the Inquisitors that you just defeated carrying you into the freezer, stakes in your chests. They lower you down onto the floor one by one. And then pull the stakes out, and then before you stir, they bring in the dead body, hang him up on the meat hook, and then before they leave, one of them slits his wrist, walks over to each of you and drops a single drop of blood in your mouths. They are seen leaving minutes before you wake up. You also see, as the Inquisitors leave the facility, one of them leads in the unfortunate security guard. He seems nervous, like someone on their first day on a new job. You reach forwards,
Yeah, I was
press.
gonna kill him if you didn't, so.
You reach forwards, press the. You reach forwards and pull the USB stick out of the port in front of the port in the little.
Safely ejected first.
Yeah, safely ejected.
Safely
They
ejected.
plugged it in back into tower, it's corrupted.
Well, it's a good thing they want us to get rid of the evidence, but whoops.
The video stops playing, and then Barry steps forwards and puts a couple rounds into the computer hard drive.
I'll hold on.
Yeah. Roger's just holding the USB stick, puts it in the breast pocket.
Imagine like trying to go put it in the pocket, it's just got holes in it from bullet wounds. It's like, oh my god, I'll just hold
Can
on.
I search the bodies for their Uzis and if they had any of those flammable rounds?
Yes. You find that only the one Inquisitor had the countermeasures, but the rest of them do have rest of them do have spare magazines for their submachine guns, and of course the submachine guns are not going to be missed. So
Well, I'm gonna gather them all up. I'm gonna start making a collection.
yeah, so you just pick them all up,
I just
and so as you step out of the van, shut the door behind you, and walk away into the darkness. The third night of your existence as a kindred, your unlife has come to an end. You have survived for now. You have more knowledge about your condition, and you are a little wiser. You're feeling that a part of your humanity has been shaken, but you are far from consumed by your beast. You see ahead of you a difficult path. You will have to feed, secure territory, make allies and enemies, choose a faction, or try to survive on your own. One thing you
Got one
understand.
of those things covered.
Yep.
I think you kind of fucking locked that one in before we got started.
One thing you understand is that you each depend on the rest of your coterie. As daybreak approaches, you realize that tomorrow will be the first night of the rest of eternity. What eternity holds, you do not know. And that concludes the session.
Wonderful. EXP?
5 EXP each.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
I'll
do
write
we
that
get
down
any
somewhere.
bonus XP from character creation?
No, fledglings do not.
Okay,
So
I'll
you
write
get-
that down,
yeah,
write
so
that
write
down
5,
in
so you
the
get-
experience.
Yep.
Total. Yes.
Yeah, so you get 5 EXP. And in addition, you can now select a predator type, which is basically determines how you prefer to hunt and who you prefer to feed on.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it's what you when you say I'm going out hunting, the predator type determines what you're going to roll because it's what you do.
Okay.
And in addition, you get the predator type. You also get each a single touchstone and conviction because 2 years will pass between this session and the next. We'll move from 2006 to 2008. Your first night is over, and when we resume, you will be, well, not old, not weathered, world-wise kindred who've been around the block, but you will have learned how to survive on a night-to-night basis and perhaps established your niche in the city. And so, you pick a touchstone and a conviction and a predator type, and we will make the coterie. And so with that, I will end the session. I thank everyone for tuning in tonight. It has been fun and exciting, showcasing a new game, and we hope you'll tune in for the campaign itself. Stay tuned, keep an eye on our Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook to see when we plan to continue. Until then, follow the traditions, don't break the masquerade, and remember, the kindred are all around you.